Chip Kelly has led his Oregon squad to the winningest season in Ducks history. One more, and the Ducks are the champs for the first time. Timely defense, lots of points, and push-ups leading the Ducks to the BCS National Championship.
5 touchdowns for Kenyon Barner.
There goes Ham. 10, 5, dive, touchdown, Auburn! Lights, Cameron, action, touchdown, Auburn!
Michael James not going to catch that man.
Very loud and very clear. Cameron Newton is eligible at Auburn University.
Speculations, rumors going around, and I'm not going to be up here and entertain it.
He's got Lutson, Kirkup, touchdown, Auburn! Touchdown, Auburn! Newton's Law reigns supreme.
Give it to LaMichael. Yep. That erases any doubt.
Throws it deep downfield. It's up and caught! It's caught!
LaMichael James takes it right up the middle, and that's the statement you needed.
Have fun, stick together, eliminate distractions, and flip the switch. The motto of the Oregon Ducks, and 4 reasons why they are playing the Auburn Tigers in the Tostitos BCS National Championship game. This hour, all about the Quack Attack up in Eugene, Oregon. Laura Galindo here with Matt Stinchcomb and Tom Luganville to talk about those Oregon Ducks and why everybody seems to love them. You speak about the love for these two teams. Why do you think this could be one of the most big-time national championship games we will see?
Well, you may not have that big market value in terms of a fan base that maybe an Ohio State would bring or an Alabama would bring, even a USC. But what you do have, I believe, is a game that serves the college football fan. The fans want to see this game. They've heard so much and watched Oregon. Same goes for Auburn. All the innuendo and the situations off the field. I think this is a matchup that fans want to watch. It's going to be a high-flying circus act, and fans love offensive football.
And somewhat unlikely, too. I mean, especially in Oregon's instance, you're talking about a coach in Chip Kelly with no head coaching experience whatsoever in year 2, coming into the season, and your Heisman hopeful quarterback is not going to be with you on your squad. They only lost 2 offensive players. One was their only All-Pac-10 player in Ed Dixon at the tight end position, and then Jeremiah Masoli. And all they have done is gotten even better and more productive offensively, and that's what's fueled them to this position to the date.
And even beyond Masoli, a very troubling offseason for Chip Kelly. Keep in mind his first game as the Oregon head coach was that now infamous LeGarrette Blount game against Boise State. Now the Oregon Ducks playing for a national championship. It's all about the O for Chip Kelly. The offense at Oregon, here's how they got there.
Pressure comes, hit as he throws. It is intercepted. Boyette will score. Touchdown, Oregon. Thomas going to keep it. Oh, what a fake. Touchdown, Thomas. What a fake. LaMichael up the middle, busted, and he's gone. LaMichael James, baby, not going to catch that man. Statement.
What was key in staying so calm in this matchup when you're down by 18?
Just knowing we're going to have a shot to win. We know we're going to put up points. So like I'm saying, we got to go down the field and just keep on working, keep on chopping the wood.
Harris going to come up. Can he make the first guy miss? Yep. Off to the races and still on his feet at the 40. Turns the corner at the 20. Cliff Harris just did it again.
We anticipate another knockdown, drag out. Our games with these guys in the past have been just unbelievable football games. So we regrouped at halftime and came out and did what we pride ourselves in, and that's finishing football games.
Hoff's going to try to get the corner first down. He's got the speed. He might. I think he will. You betcha he will. Touchdown, Josh Hoff. Touchdown, Oregon. He's got a chance. Maybe he's got more than a chance. He scores. Darren Thomas. Aldonado waits for the snap. No, it's a fake. Oregon runs it first down up the middle 40 near midfield. Inside of the 30 to the 25. Finally out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Give it to him again up the middle. He's going to score! Michael James takes it right up the middle. You're getting closer to the prize.
Yeah, the Oregon Ducks, as you can tell right there, made up for the lack of drama this season with just a whole bunch of points. The #1 scoring offense in the Bowl subdivision. #2 when it comes to total offense. They don't turn the ball over a lot. They've got a very opportunistic defense that has those takeaways. You see the time of possession right there, 104th. Maybe a few years ago, people were saying, oh, that's a really big concern. You got to control the football. But it doesn't seem to slow down the Oregon Ducks at all. Why do you think this group is so effective when it comes to that offense?
We talk about the pace of play that the Oregon Ducks play with, and the fact that Chip Kelly gets out there, they spread the field. A lot of teams spread the field now, but they run more plays than almost anybody, and they don't do it throwing the football. Darren Thomas has been effective through the air. They do it running it on the ground. That's what makes it different. You think of Hawaii's, the Houstons of this world, they run a lot of plays. Oregon's running 80 offensive plays a game, and they're getting to the line of scrimmage, and they're challenging your defensive front seven down in and down out. You might survive first or second down, but you know that you're going to have to survive almost 80 reps versus an explosive offense.
And I think sometimes the spread offense unfairly gets termed to be a finesse offense. There's nothing finesse about these guys. They're going to run the football, as you mentioned, and the pace and the tempo, that's one thing. And I've said it before, yeah, there are a lot of teams that can run quickly to the line of scrimmage and get plays off. Very few that can execute at such a high level. The ability to execute plays one after another constantly and not missing a beat is simply phenomenal. And keep in mind, this is the second-ranked team in the country in first downs. First downs dictate their tempo. You don't get first downs, you can't continue to run at this pace because now you put your defense on the field and you put your team in jeopardy.
Oregon State head coach Mike Riley says that this Oregon team is the most imposing team that he's ever gone up against. Talking about a team that's not very big. He's saying they're imposing, though. How much of that comes down to the speed, and what kind of problems does that create?
Well, they create all kinds of mismatch problems on offense with their speed. They want to get you in space. They want to spread the field vertically, horizontally. And what they may lack in size, bulk, and strength, they gain in the ability to get their best guy on your worst guy. That's what offensive football is about. If you're an Oregon Duck, in the passing game, you want to create matchups in space. In the running game, you want to develop a numbers advantage up front so that you have more guys to block than they have to defend. And that's what they do. They're not doing it with size. They're doing it with quickness and execution.
And another way that they intimidate their opposition. Going into USC, they talked about it. We started preparing for this pace early. They introduce endurance as a factor in the ballgame. They may sacrifice something in size, but you better be well conditioned when you face this Oregon Duck offense because they will test you. They're going to stretch the field, obviously. They're also going to stretch the limits of your physical preparation. You better have your wind underneath you. If you're going to face this team, they're going to repeatedly challenge you up front.
Over 30 days layoff for both these teams, so plenty of time to get acclimated with those tempos. But keep in mind, Auburn can run at a very quick pace as well with that Gus Malzahn offense. So LaMichael James, you know the guy, perfect fit by now for Chip Kelly's offense. You need speed when you're as well-traveled as James. Find out how he went from Texas to Oregon to New York City. And for as much attention as that Oregon offense is getting, don't forget about Nick Galeotti and the opportunistic defense.
Right now, all over the country, Discover customers are getting 5% cashback bonus at restaurants. It pays to switch. It pays to Discover.
I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to work. I hate mornings. Great, I have 20 minutes. No time for coffee. Hello, my friend.
Can't get it together in the morning? Try 5-Hour Energy. It's simple, effective, and unlike coffee, it's ready right now. No waiting, no hassle.
Let's do this.
5-Hour Energy, the no-wait, no-hassle way to a great morning.
A message for parents and grandparents.
Aren't they amazing?
Yeah.
I gotta start thinking about kindergarten, a college fund.
Relax. First, get them a Grow Plan. Gerber Life can help give your baby a good financial start with $10,000 in whole life insurance. It's easy and costs just pennies a day.
The Grow Up Plan gives your child $10,000 in whole life insurance protection now, then doubles automatically to $20,000 later at no extra cost.
Call 1-800-672-1304. Call now.
Dick's Sporting Goods presents ESPN The Weekend at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, March 3rd through the 6th. Visit ESPNtheWeekend.com.
Cam Newton has faced the Gamecocks once before.
He just ran over the South Carolina defender.
Michael James, left side, trying to get to the corner, and he'll cruise in. Give it to him again up the middle. He's going to score! LaMichael James!
Going to throw it for the end zone, wide open. Blake! Touchdown, Auburn!
He's probably the best football player I've ever seen.
It's been a long road to stardom for LaMichael James. But then again, when you run in warp speed, the trip from Texarkana, Texas to Eugene, Oregon isn't really all that bad. It was that speed that caught the eyes of the Oregon coaching staff and a system built on exactly that, catching the eyes of James. A perfect football marriage. One that developed James from a potential situational back to a Heisman finalist in New York City.
Let's go, baby. It's the James Show. One of the great runners in college football this year.
I'm from Texarkana, Texas. Football in Texas is religion. I go to church, then football, you know. Texarkana is very, very, very serious. You know, we have those high schools, 3 or 4 high schools there, and all of them are rivals, you know, so football is really big there. I was playing football there, and I'm just like, hey, man, I don't want to play football in Texas ever again because it's just so hot. You know, I've always been a person to stay the same and consistent, you know, do everything the same every day, and always at home, never really left out of Texas, so I decided I needed to leave, you know, I really wanted to.
And he's gone! LaMichael James, baby, not going to catch that man!
The Oregon Ducks have really gone into the state of Texas, found some stars like LaMichael James, Darren Thomas, the face of the offense, and the face of the program in the case of number 21 for the Ducks. You see the rushing yards, 1,682, leading the bowl subdivisions, the rushing touchdowns. First with 21 overall, just 69 yards away as a sophomore for setting the all-time career rushing record with the Oregon Ducks. You look at LaMichael James, what do you think makes him so special?
Well, the first thing that jumps out at you is his speed and his diminutive size, and the fact that they run this guy between the tackles. It's not like they're getting him out in space immediately. He's running in there with the big guys, and you talk about what Chip Kelly says that makes this guy different from most players. It's his work ethic and the fact that he's willing to play through injury. He's also willing to carry the load in an offense that's rushing the football 50 times a game. 26 of those rushes are going to number 21, LaMichael James. That's a tremendous amount of workload on a guy that's running with a physical nature. It's not just like he's running a bunch of reverses or toss sweeps. He's getting hit by guys. Sometimes he's giving up 80 pounds. He's not just all speed. He runs with a tremendous amount of balance and vision.
Well, there's a difference between being short and being small. He's short, but he doesn't run small. He runs behind his pads, and whether it's in recruiting or in preparation for the NFL draft, one of the things that's most scrutinized with undersized backs is can they consistently run between the tackles without getting injured? Are they durable? Do they show up week to week? And with LaMichael James, he does. And the way Chip Kelly utilizes his skill set both in the backfield and on the perimeter, because if you take a look at a lot of the formation usages for Chip Kelly's offense, he may be split out wide, motioning back into the backfield or motioning out in the backfield, used in the screen game. A lot of versatility. You had better account for where he lines up every time they break the huddle. That's what makes him so dangerous and so dynamic, is he's not just a one-dimensional guy.
And he's obviously tough because multiple occasions this season after games you've seen him in a boot, you've seen him on crutches, but has not missed time because of injury so far this season. And Chip Kelly is glad to have him. Talk about finding the right guys to run your system. Look at the 2 coaches that are going to be coaching in the Tostitos BCS National Championship game. Chip Kelly, Gene Chizik, Cam Newton, LaMichael James, Darren Thomas, helping them with an opportunity to win a BCS National Championship in only the 2nd year at their program. So when we talk about Chip Kelly, you always talk about the offense, but you throw out spread. Seems like everybody is throwing a spread these days. How is this one different in terms of strengths and the weaknesses that you see?
Well, what makes it a little bit different, we've touched on it a lot, is that the spread formation is pervasive. It's throughout college football. We've seen a number of different ways that it can be implemented. Ultimately, it's a formation. It's their base formation. They're going to try to disperse the defenders on the field. But what they do is they hit you with repetition. They hit you with frequency, and they have to have speed to be able to do that. You also have to have the right personnel, not just at your skill positions, but at the guys up front. You got to credit the big boys. The fact that they're running 80 offensive plays, imagine Wisconsin's offensive line in this system. They wouldn't make it through the second quarter. They'd be gassed. It's a totally different approach, and because of that, you have to be willing to transition and get the right guys in place to implement this type of an offense.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head, Matt. It's not just about getting great players with speed, but the right player that fits the system, not sticking a square peg into a round hole. And the other thing that you've got to look at with this offensive philosophy is it is a 365-day-a-year commitment. You can't just do it some of the time, can't just practice it through part of your practices or part of the year. It's 100% of the time, and you are in warp speed in your entire philosophy. And I mean in the off-season program where you're sitting there having to lift weights, go through circuit training, creating an environment of competition, all of those areas are part of this offensive scheme and the pace at which you operate.
They talk about it all the time up there in Eugene. Their practices are actually shorter than other D1 practices out there because they go so fast. You make the opponents do that. Why aren't other programs starting to catch on and develop something like this, Tom?
I think it's about personnel. If you don't necessarily have the personnel to get it done, it's going to be difficult to be as effective as you would need to be. You know, what Oregon's doing, I don't think it's a fad. I think it's what they are, but it's not what everybody is.
The only reason that it's effective, too, is that it's working for them, obviously. Yeah. It's not just because you run a bunch of plays, obviously your offense is going to get propped up. You got to have the right guys in there. It's hard to transition from that. You've got guys in there to run a certain style offense. It's not like you can just flip the switch and start doing this.
At the end of the day, it comes down to two things: blocking, tackling, and execution. They execute, and we touched on that earlier. Execution's the key.
It helps to have a guru like Chip Kelly. Keep in mind, before he came to Oregon as the offensive coordinator, he wasn't even a head coach on the FCS level. He was the offensive coordinator at New Hampshire. So a meteoric rise for Chip Kelly. Top of the keep right now as you're closing in on the first ever championship for the Oregon Ducks. A lot about LaMichael James, but he's not the guy that Chip Kelly says makes this offense go. We'll let you know who that is.
Is credit card debt stressing you out? BSI, an accredited nonprofit organization, has been helping people like you to affordably consolidate monthly bills, reduce high interest rates, stop late fees, and end collection calls. You can always rely on BSI to offer you the very best solution to your personal situation, as they have since 1996. Call us. Let BSI start eliminating your credit card stress now.
I've always wanted to be an artist. I always did through my whole childhood.
Art Instruction Schools has been successfully training artists since 1914.
All the skills I learned in the school were very helpful. They made me draw and paint things I might have not done, but that was good for me.
Their fully accredited distance learning courses offer instruction in all fields of art.
Of the people that hired me said that my portfolio was better than most of the college graduates.
I love to draw, you know, it's really inspiring to me. I was always able to draw pretty well, but I was missing, you know, a good structural foundation, and that's what Art Instruction Schools found for me.
You'll learn at your own pace in the comfort and privacy of your home. So if you'd like to become a better artist, follow your passion with Art Instruction Schools. Take the first step. Call this number for your art test. There's no obligation. You must be 18 years or older to call.
If you give good fakes, you have good character. And obviously, Darren has great character because he delivers great fakes.
Thomas going to keep it. Oh, what a fake!
If we can cause any deception that forces the defense just to hesitate for a second, that may be the difference between a big gain or a tackle for loss.
I just put him in between, not knowing if the quarterback had the ball or the running back, so it make him just stop for a second, and all we need is that second.
with the play fakes, you really never know who has the ball, and he really does a good job making all the right reads.
Touchdown, Thomas.
Quarterback was perceived as Oregon's biggest strength in the offseason. That was before Jeremiah Masoli found trouble and Oregon dipped in the preseason polls. Now it's the postseason, and quarterback Darren Thomas is perceived as the most important part of the Oregon offense, at least to head coach Chip Kelly. The Ducks head guy says Thomas makes everything go, and there's no other way to say it. Now there is no safety net anymore for Thomas, not after the season-ending injury to backup quarterback Nate Costa.
Oregon scores again. Oh, what a play. Touchdown, Thomas.
It really is a tough offense to get a grasp of. In the beginning of the season, I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to get all these reads. You know, it's going to take 2 or 3 years. It's kind of like unreal how fast he really picked up on it.
He's really kind of grown up in front of your eyes. You just watched how he kind of matured and gained some confidence, and that's the biggest thing I think he has now. He's really confident in what we're doing, and that's so integral, especially at that position.
Coach Kelly told me from the jump, I got to be in the film room because I got to know everything. You're going to put a lot on my shoulders.
Most college offenses feature more than 100 plays in their playbook. Oregon's has only 75, but the complexity of the Ducks' attack lies in their pre- and post-snap reads.
A lot of players dealing with reads, so a lot of our plays, really about 80% of our plays are dealing with reads.
There's times where he has 4 or 5 options right when the ball's snapped in terms of where he's going to go with it. It's been really impressive with Darren all year long, is just the decisions that he's made.
This offense, when you watch it, it's not easy to grasp. This play is a great example of Thomas's quick decision making. We'll pause it here, show you. 7 men in the box, and then we've got a linebacker creeping on the outside. So that's going to be our first read. We know we don't want to run the ball if this linebacker starts to come. Here we go on the snap. Now take a look. Bang, right there. Just watch that first step. Thomas reads it, and he knows the run game is out the door. Now, the next option is throwing this bubble screen. He's got the guy in the flat. Who's he reading? This defensive back. Watch, he's already started to cheat, coming forward. So you pump it, and then you go right down the seam to your third option, Jeffrey Mail, all because of the decision-making that happens so quickly from Thomas.
Darren Thomas firing. Another Oregon touchdown.
Our quarterback is like a point guard. You know, you got to get to the guys open, you know, and that's whether it's in the run game or in the passing game.
It's really a big numbers game. That's one thing Coach Kelly plays, a big numbers game.
You have 3-on-3 here, not an advantage for the offense. 3-on-2 on the perimeter, definitely an advantage for the defense. So the decision by Thomas is easy. Bring LaMichael James back, let's run the option. Now is when you have to start making quick decisions. This defensive end comes crashing down. It seems easy on tape, but watch how quickly the decision's made. Bang, right there to the outside. That's a great example of how the quick decision-making turns into a big gain from Darren Thomas.
He scores! Darren Thomas made it look easy.
In summary, Darren Thomas is very good. How good is he compared to the Heisman Trophy winner? The passing yards, just a slight edge for Cam, touchdown interception ratio. Also, slight edge to Cam Newton. The yards per rush also there. It's just Darren Thomas not getting that many opportunities to put up 20 rushing touchdowns like Cam Newton this season. So as we go back to the tape, like Todd McShay just did, you look at Darren Thomas, what he has done. What stands out to you?
Well, we heard a lot in that vignette a little bit about his reads, and that's not just with your arm or with your legs. You got to have that skill set, but it comes down to your decision-making capabilities. Pre-snap, post-snap, you're talking about 4 and 5 different options within the same play, and those aren't things that you can predetermine. You'll see here on the speed option, you've got 1 defender and 2 offensive playmakers on the perimeter. You have to create your opportunity there and put him in no man's land. They capture the edge. There is no one for the pitch man, and he makes that fake. This is a read. A coach doesn't say the defender's going to commit to the pitch guy. Keep it, Darren. No, he has to make this play on the move in a split second. Yeah, he's an athlete. He can get out on the edge, but he's making good decisions as a runner. He does it in the passing game as well.
Very humble. He essentially says he's a product of being surrounded by great players and a great system. But when you just look at what he does, is he more than that game manager type that we throw around?
I think so, because sometimes the connotation can be negative when you use the phrase game manager. And I think there's a difference between being a game manager and being a guy that's just asked to play within the scheme and not make mistakes. And so far, Darren Thomas has has made very few errors. You heard Chip Kelly talk about the decision-making process is what he's been so impressed with, considering his lack of experience coming into the season. But one similarity you'll see between Oregon's offensive scheme in the passing game and Auburn's is that 85 to 90% of it is going to come off of some form of play action. Whether that play action is initially a run read that turns into potentially a passing game throw downfield, as we saw Todd McShay talk about in relationship to the decisions that have to be made post-snap. He's always able to throw the ball into what looks like a window because everybody wants to sit back in zone and not play these guys in man-to-man. That creates a lot of passing windows.
And with the number of plays that they're running, they lean on Darren Thomas a little bit in the passing game. 63% of the time they're going to be running the football. That leaves a lot of opportunity for Darren Thomas to end up with the football in his hands, get it downfield to his playmakers. Very underrated, I think, as a passer. He's got a high completion ratio. We saw the touchdowns to interceptions. He does an excellent job in the passing game. That puts any defense in a bind, but especially with this type of offense.
But guys, we learned about the importance of a backup quarterback in last year's national championship game. If Thomas somehow goes down, Nate Costa's not there, how do you feel about the young guy, Brian Bennett?
Don't feel too good about him, and I don't think Chip Kelly does either. And it may be more the fact that they don't want to burn his red shirt, don't want to have to play with him. If something like this were to happen for Oregon, I can promise you, you will see one heck of a lot of the wild duck. And that's what they would be in with LaMichael James and anybody they can pull out of the stands before they put Brian Bennett in the game.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, too, is just you may have another skilled player to back up your quarterback, but it's the repetitions that you get and the decisions that he's made over the course of a 12-game season. You can't replicate that in practice. You certainly can't duplicate game speed.
So after a few segments and a couple vignettes on your part, it's been offense, offense, offense for the Oregon Ducks. Seems like we're forgetting something at this point. I think we are. A little something called defense. Usually helps determine the national champ. We'll let you know if the Oregon Ducks have proved this season they have enough to get the Ducks that crystal ball. And from the second half surge against Stanford to the big scare against Cal, we'll have the biggest moments of Oregon's run. It's all coming up on the U.
Stadium, a very hostile environment. They come out 48-13 after being down 13-3 going into half.
Well, at home versus the toughest opponent, Matt, and the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford looked pretty good early, but then LaMichael James pours on a whopping 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, with Darren Thomas adding 3 passing touchdowns as well.
And then they get the Washington State Cougs. Now, nobody's real impressed with this victory overall, but you look at the fact that they were able to improve to 6-0, 136 yards and 2 TDs. James goes over 100 again. A big game for the Ducks. They all counted this season.
Big with Kenyon Barner also injured in that game against Washington State.
Perhaps Rick Neuheisel, UCLA's head coach's comments after the Oregon game in Autzen Stadium said it all. That was impressive. I'll leave it at that. That was impressive. And yes, it was. 308 yards passing for Darren Thomas, a career high.
Then they move on. Little action against USC. And USC coming off a bye week, no chance.
Yeah, they thought they were prepared for it from an endurance standpoint. The nation was watching, sports centers out there. They were able to get a huge victory over the Trojans, the perennial favorite usually in the Pac-10.
For Washington, no Jake Locker, no problem for the Oregon Ducks.
No problem for the Oregon Ducks, but for the first time all year, the Washington Huskies held the Ducks scoreless in quarter number 1. 121 yards from LaMichael James paved the way, and Oregon improved to 9-0.
And then that became a trend because they played the Cal Golden Bears, and they were held to 1 offensive touchdown, Matt.
Yeah, and here they are on the road. It's difficult to beat Oregon at home. They go on the road. They get a huge kick punt return by Cliff Harris, but it was an illegal motion penalty on a field goal attempt that ultimately proved to be the margin of victory they needed. They win 15-13.
And the final hurdle, Tom.
On the road in the Civil War versus the Oregon State Beavers. Nothing flashy about this performance, but a good, hard-fought win versus a rival, 37-20, to cap the season.
So when we do this for the Auburn Tigers, week after week after week, it's a close game. Here for the Oregon Ducks, week after week, it's a blowout. Even in a game like Stanford, where they're trailing at the half, they come out and they blank the Cardinal in the second half. There's the big difference, though, whereas Auburn has all those ranked teams they have gone up against. Just one ranked team for the Oregon Ducks this season. One of the best wins flat out for any team because it was against the Stanford Cardinal. The average margin of victory, impressive. Almost 31 points per game. They trailed in 8 games, but they did not trail for very long. Rick Haro is ESPNU sports professor, and he's now joining us to tell us who's at the top of the class and right behind in this BCS National Championship game. Sports professor, let's start with the gear. Under Armour and Auburn against Nike and Oregon. Who's got the edge?
Well, the runner-up clearly has to be Auburn. They just did a $2.1 million annual deal with Under Armour, extended it 7 years, $20 million more in cash. But the valedictorian, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, Oregon. Why? Nike, they've got a deal that's worth over $3.5 million annually, and based on the fact that they are brothers in arms in Western Oregon, the extension is going to be there year after year after year. Valedictorian in that context, the Oregon Ducks.
And that leads us perfectly to the big-time power broker, the Boosters. Who's got the best out there?
Well, again, the runner-up is Auburn. Bobby Louder is a big-time booster. There is a connection potentially with the whole Cam Newton issue there, but here is the clear valedictorian. Why not? Phil Knight, Nike, Oregon wins hands down valedictorian. The rumor even is that he gets to call one play every single game. Hopefully it's successful.
Well, it's the Oregon Duck that usually has to do the work when they're calling plays and scoring all those points. So people love the Duck. They love Aubie as well. Who do you think, though, has the backing of the people?
Well, the runner-up again, Auburn again, tied for 36th, according to an ESPN poll a couple of years ago. Hands down, valedictorian, the Oregon Ducks tied for 26th. So they win in all three cases. Valedictorian, go Ducks.
It's all about the Oregon Ducks. He's the sports professor joining us on ESPNU. Rick, we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
The sports professor chimes in, all the edge in those categories to the Oregon Ducks, and it's not even close when you consider what the Ducks have done on the field this season, completely blowing out opponents. Auburn, very close games. Is there any disadvantage, though, if you're Oregon and you haven't been tested consistently?
Well, I think so. We saw that they've trailed 8 different times this season, but it takes a while for that offense to kind of spool up, and then eventually the opponent collapses under all the weight of all these reps that Oregon puts on you. But in this game, in this season, they had 2 close ball games. One, a 2-point victory over Cal, and then an 11-point victory over Arizona State, both road games. Arizona State, a top 25 scoring defense. But that's about it. You got the Stanford opponent. But how in the world are you supposed to build that confidence? They've met with very little resistance this season from a schedule standpoint, having faced only one top 25 team.
And you notice the illegal procedure right there on behalf of Cal's kicker, which leads to the re-kick and the miss. You know, I don't know if there's anything negative about having a wide margin of victory. I think what it does, it's an indicator of a team's confidence in the sense that they go into each and every game and they don't expect to be behind. In fact, they don't even expect it to be close because they go in knowing they're going to win and believing that they are the best team. And I think that confidence has basically ridden all the way through this season. Now, yes, Auburn's had a lot of close games versus much better competition, but confidence is not something you can manufacture, neither is chemistry. Oregon has them, and I think because they've won big in most of their conference, Matt, after, aside from the 2 games you've mentioned, I think that's a benefit for Oregon.
And when it's been a tight game, they have also shown they can slow it down just a little bit. They had that 9+ minute drive to end the game against the California Golden Bears, so a little bit of a departure for the Oregon Ducks offense. We're making a departure from the Oregon Ducks. We're going to talk about the defense now, the job that Nick Aliotti has done. We don't get too much pub when it comes to the Oregon defense, but why do they deserve credit?
Because they don't give up big plays. That's the biggest thing. Nick Aliotti, they want to come after you. They want to apply pressure, and they're going to give you a lot of different looks. And they're athletic. They run extremely well. They're not worried about how big or how strong they are. They know going into most contests they're going to be undersized, but they're active, and they're rotating 9, 10 guys within that defensive front 7. Here's the thing that's going to be interesting to watch. There is not a single player in the 2 deep of the defensive front 4 for Nick Aliotti's bunch on defense that weighs more than 270 pounds. In fact, their 2 defensive tackles don't weigh more than 270, but they've got an awful lot of height, long, gangly guys. Will those guys be able to play in a phone booth when they have to be played between the tackles? That's going to be the question.
They better get separation at the line of scrimmage. Use that length and get these big bodies of the Auburn offensive line off of them.
To turnover margin, a large part of that, though, the defense. 35 takeaways for the Oregon Ducks defense this season. You look at the defensive numbers, the rushing yards per game, A little over 100 yards for the opponents of Oregon and Auburn when it comes to the passing yards per game. Auburn allowing more than 250 total yards per game. It's still pretty close all the way down to the points per game. So there's a lot of talk that maybe Oregon and that defense isn't necessarily all up to snuff, but at the same time, you look at the the Auburn Tigers, it's not like they're really lighting up the world when it comes to the defense, though.
No, it's true. And I think, we talked about the depth a little bit. What Oregon also has going for it from that side of the ball is scoring pressure that their offense can create. It can make your opposition very much one-dimensional. That's something that Auburn's going to have to fight against, because if they start lighting up the scoreboard, that defense for Oregon, not only do they have opportunity to rotate guys in and out, but they also have made you one-dimensional. Nick Aliotti can do an excellent job in that. Just pick one phase of your offense. I'll defend against that all day.
I don't think there's any question that Oregon and Nick Aliotti are going to try and force Cam Newton to throw the ball to beat him. They're going to give up far fewer plays, big plays in the passing game than they do in the run game if they forced him to throw it to beat him. In Alabama, the first half with Auburn versus Alabama will be a film that the defensive personnel at Oregon will be scrutinizing heavily.
Big difference for this Oregon defense when you're going up against the scout team. Darrell Hawkins is there. He's 6'4", but he's 195. That number 2 wearing the blue jersey is going to be a little different than Cam Newton, the Heisman Trophy winner, when they see the real deal in person January 10th in Glendale, Arizona. Can't forget about the mascot. Tell you why. The Oregon Duck is by far the most hardest working mascot in all of college football. And when your team leads the nation at 49 points per game, that is a lot of push-ups.
Most tired guy of the whole program after this thing's over.
Don't you feel bad when you look over there and see the Duck pounding out those push-ups?
No, not at all. I mean, he needs to get the job done just like everybody else. He's a part of the team.
They say that the Duck bill sort of gets in the way.
I think he cheats when he does his push-ups. I think we need to show how to do a real push-up.
The player should never question his stamina, because the Duck is always in the weight room with us and always working out really hard.
Let's go, touch your feathers. All the way up, all the way up.
Finish! He doesn't look like he's got a lot of mental tenacity, you know what I'm saying?
Might be lacking a few screws up there.
505, 506, 507, 508, 509. You know what? I think you're ready.
The Duck's definitely a bad boy. 3 years ago, he saw the Houston Cougar trying to imitate his push-ups, so he had to show him what's up.
Go, Ducks, go! Fight, Ducks, fight!
Thanks, Ducky!
Hey, good luck on Saturday.
The official tally for the season, 2,757 Duck push-ups. Tom Luganville has a problem with this because he is adamant that the bill gets in the way of those push-ups.
All I know is that in athletic training and strength and conditioning, everything is based upon range of motion. And anatomically, the Duck is incapable of getting full range of motion, which hinders his progress, his endurance, and his overall long-term strength. That's why I know that there's more than just one of them.
So he's cheating himself, and it's multiple people doing the work.
That's legitimate analysis. That's very insightful. It bothers me too as well. We talk about defensive depth, but the idea that you're rotating mascots. If you want to impress me, leave the same guy in the suit the entire game. I'd like to see it. The problem is, do you intimidate the players at some point in time where your mascot might be more physically fit than the guys on the field?
You're contending that they're switching out Ducks in game? I'm only contending that they're on a game-to-game schedule.
No, absolutely. They're rotating guys within
in game.
Have you seen how many points they scored this year?
Oh, I have, but I mean, that guy could be doing P90X or something.
That's a nice plug.
I don't think they usually rotate him in game, but there has been a situation recently, if I recall, that they had to replace an Oregon Duck mascot. But when you're doing that many push-ups, My goodness, you're going to need some help. The Oregon Ducks getting plenty of help out there on the recruiting trail. This is that time of year leading up to the BCS National Championship. The coaches really get out. When they start going out, what kind of vibe do you think they're getting as far as where Oregon stands nationally in terms of recruiting?
Well, they're obviously getting a significant amount of exposure. It has to do with Nike. It has to do with success on the gridiron. And I think I go back a couple of classes, really to Darren Thomas's class out of the state of Texas, where they really started becoming national. They had signed a prospect in Chris Harper, who's now at Kansas State, out of the state of Kansas. They've been down into Florida consistently. And I look at Takoy Sumler out of this class in the 2011 group that fits the mold of what Oregon is on offense. Fast-paced, quick, top-end speed, and the ability to get in space and make big plays. That's what Takoy Sumler is going to bring you on the offensive side of the football. But as far as playing for a national championship, that isn't going to truly resonate, in my opinion, until the following class. Because most of this class here, as you see verbally committed to the Oregon Ducks, they've been committed for several months. So a very small percentage of this class will actually truly be influenced by the outcome of this game.
How do you judge this class in terms of class rankings when a particular type of player means so much in this system?
Oh, it goes into the equation big time, because we've talked about getting great players, good players, but also getting the right player, the right fit, and filling needs where you may have a void within your football team. I think Oregon and Chip Kelly have done a great job here with this class.
And Matt, what do you think about Andre?
Well, you know, to me, it's alphabet soup with him on the back end of his name there. But when you talk about guys like that, offensive tackle, he better get his mind right. You can't just be bench pressing in this offense. You better be able to run marathons.
I just wanted you to give it a stab.
No, I'm not going to try it.
All signs pointing in the other direction, a big ol' Andre, but the signs leading Oregon to a national championship appearance.
And a finish. Endings are imposed and inflicted. Finishes are earned and celebrated. It's the last word, the closing act, the final step, the whole point. We don't remember the start. We never forget the finish.
The Oregon offense is tough to figure out in many ways. First, for opposing defenses. Cal held Oregon to one offensive touchdown, and all the talk following that was Oregon's offense was exposed, possibly solved. But Chip Kelly responded saying, quote, "There is not a magic formula. This isn't math. Will Hunting is not going to come up and grab the chalk and say, here is the answer to this," end quote. So not only are coaches still trying to find a way to stop the Oregon offense, we're trying to figure out how to be part of the way the Oregon offense actually gets called.
At the University of Oregon, signs have made their way onto the football field. Coaches created a new signal board play calling system this past spring after concerns the Ducks' hand signals were compromised last season.
What we have on those boards, each four quadrants means something to our guys. One picture will tell us the formation, the play, and the snap count. And all 11 guys in the field know what we're going to run.
By visually seeing something, a picture or an image, you can relate to it a lot faster than trying to get a long series of hand signals.
At the controls of the signal boards, which are used to call roughly a quarter of the Ducks' offense, is walk-on quarterback Dustin Haynes.
I got to play a step ahead of the team because they're relying on me to get the play. So if I'm not playing fast, they can't play fast.
End zone. Touchdown, Ducks. Over the course of a game, the Ducks use 6 signal boards with a total of 24 images. And while we know why the Ducks use the signs, the question remains, what do all these images mean?
Why Lee Corso? Old school. Everything's a package. Lee Corso is old school. Reese Davis, RD, research and development, plays we got from other teams.
Touchdown coming here, boys.
Oh boy. Neil Everett, he's the best. He's in our Joker package. Scott Van Pelt is in our Smarty package.
It appeared to me that my play is a lousy dive that doesn't work.
So here's what we learned about the offensive play signage. Every single image
that is on those cards stands for something when I don't know what that means. What are you asking for? You're waving this thing in front of me. There's a phone and a key. What do you want from me next? You want what? Yep. Sorry, good producing, Duck. Let's send it back to the studio.
Rob Stone, thank you so much. At least he didn't have to do the push-ups, even though we know certainly Rob Stone can do that. When it comes to the play cards, though, if your picture was up there, what play would you want that to represent?
Well, as a former offensive lineman, I'd have to say fumble Ruski. And then, of course, obviously, you'd have to count for the quick kit. When that didn't work, obviously, you got to punt it away. But you at least want to let your offensive lineman touch the football, Tom, I think.
Yeah, I would want to be the victory play, the take a knee play. I want to represent the win.
That's an explosive play.
It is an explosive play. You'd go backwards, which is always a good thing, of course. And then you take a knee and the game's over and you've won. I want to represent the win.
I like that one, too.
But I want to know, with no quarterbacks behind Darren Thomas, who's going to hold the sign if the guys holding the sign got to go back into the game?
Ooh,
maybe the Duck will.
I'm sure they have this all figured out up there in Eugene, Oregon,
Yeah.
and maybe this isn't something that's quite on the radar as far as getting ready for Cam Newton and the Auburn Tigers. Maybe just a guess at this point. These are the leaders offensively and defensively for the Oregon Ducks. You know about Darren Thomas, LaMichael James. We haven't mentioned Jeff Mail, though, guys.
Yeah, he's their leading receiver, and you talk about they thought he was more of a possession-type guy. He's got 63 receptions, but he can also separate. We saw that a little bit last year. This is a guy that can get behind coverage, and when he doesn't, he can shake tacklers and make big plays after the catch. He's a big target for Darren Thomas in that passing game, something that I think is going to have to be pivotal for their offensive success versus a pretty good Auburn rush defense.
Well, Josh Huff is always the one considered to be kind of the game breaker in space, but what Jeff Mail provides is that reliability and dependability on a big down, like a third down conversion, or when you're in the red area and you need to go with a one-on-one matchup. He always comes down with the football. You know he's a go-to guy in a clutch situation, and that's where that possession terms sometimes can, again, take on a negative connotation, not with this guy.
And usually in these big games, if it's not going to be a Cam Newton or a LaMichael James, it's going to be someone else out there under the radar that slips into the scene and makes a big play, perhaps leading to the Tostitos BCS National Championship. Now it's time to take a little pick when it comes to the Oregon Ducks. So you look at Oregon at this point. When it comes to the offense, what is the biggest hurdle they're going to have to face?
Well, I think it'll be handling the Auburn front seven, and I think it goes beyond even Nick Fairley. Antoine Carter's a playmaker, but also Josh Bynes and their second level. They've got size not only up front, but also at the linebacker position. They run downhill, and when you look at Oregon's offensive front, only one guy tipping the scales over 300 pounds. I think that's a physical challenge. But on the flip side, obviously, these big guys for Auburn have to keep up with that pace of what this offensive line is used to playing with at Oregon.
I believe it's Nick Fairley, because the Oregon Ducks, and the Pac-10 for that matter, they don't face a Nick Fairley in that conference. Rarely are they going to see a defensive tackle outside of maybe Cal's defensive front that requires such attention on each and every snap. And with the Josh Bynes and the crew of linebackers for Auburn, they're relying upon Nick Fairley not only being disruptive in the backfield, but occupying multiple blockers so that they can flow freely to the football.
Last time out, though, they did get Oregon State, big old Stephen Paea there in the middle, so that may be the best compared to Nick Fairley that the Oregon Ducks have seen. I don't know if we really need to ask the next question, but when it comes to the biggest that we were failing to mention that could have a big impact in this game for the Ducks.
Well, we talk a little bit about LaMichael James. You probably should. One of the top rushers in the country.
Yeah.
Darren Thomas makes a lot of decisions with his arm and with his legs. But I think as a receiver, Jeff Mail, a big playmaker for him, but it's going to be Dave Paulson, I think. Leads all receivers in yards per catch with over 17. He is their tight end. They were in a lot of two tight end sets last year with Ed Dixon because of how good Paulson is. He's from Auburn, Washington. He's an Auburn kid in this ballgame. I think he's going to show up.
I'm going to go with defensive back and punt returner Cliff Harris for Oregon because I believe he can make an impact in two of the three areas of the game for the Ducks. And when you can create field position, create points in the kicking game because of your athletic skill and space, that is a huge X factor for Auburn to have to contend with. And when he can match up on an island against Darvin Adams, Terrell Zachary, Cliff Harris is my guy.
And Cliff Harris loves to say the Oregon Ducks playing for the Natty. So if the Ducks do win the Natty, what's going to be the key for them? in that W?
I think it's going to be the number of plays. We talked about it. Both these offenses can generate big plays, long plays from scrimmage. They kind of negate one another in that regard. But Oregon's used to having 80 shots at an opposing team's defense. They got to run 80 plays. They're going to have to get somewhere close to that. Auburn's running 66. Sure. Something's got to give in this ballgame. Oregon's going to want to have to get as many cracks as they can.
For me, it's the Oregon Ducks in winning on third down on defense. Auburn is converting a staggering 53% of their third downs on the year. You'd like to hover around 37, 38%. If they don't win third down, the Oregon Ducks on defense, they could be in big trouble.
It's a lot of talk about the Oregon Ducks. I know there's some Auburn fans at home saying, what gives? Come on, we're the Auburn Tigers. Check your local listings. We also do one of these shows.
I'm Outdoorsman. And welcome back in. Talking Ball continues here on Comcast Sportsnet. Still to come in the next half hour in your court. We'll find out what's in the minds of the fans on the concourse of the Rose Garden tonight. How about the Seahawks? Unbelievable win yesterday at home at Quest Field. 4 games of the week in the NFL, only one home team won, and it was the biggest underdog ever. The Seattle Seahawks. Will talk about that, plus tonight's Slam Dunks, which will be
Kelly. So although they're different in personality, their ability to get their team and the best potential has obviously shown true.
All right, Brooke and Brock, so much to talk about today. Can't wait to get to it.
I would have to agree with you, Dwight, that Coach Kelly won the first matchup of the day. We haven't made it an official matchup, but he won the press conference. I would have to agree. Something I took from Chip Kelly's his speech today really was nothing special. You know, that's kind of been his mantra all year long. Stick to routine. How important will routine be for these guys?
Oh, it's just absolutely important. Football players, throughout fall camp, throughout the season, you're creatures of habit. You don't want anything new disrupting your preparation or anything changed, no dramatic changes. And really, Chip Kelly touched on really what every single football game is about ever since you're a little kid, okay? It's high energy, it's turnovers, special teams, and technique. And if you follow that recipe and you do it to the best of your ability, then it's just who has talent, who executes the best. That's who's going to win this football game. And really, the turnover battle and special teams battle is going to be key. You know, we could get into individual matchups, Cam Newton, Fairley, this and that. You know, those are two individual guys. They got a lot of other players on the field that have to do their job to make it successful, both on the Oregon and Auburn side of the ball.
He said today, of course, that when they go to walk the field, it's just about checking their cleats, just about taking a photo. But he did say they're going to practice a little today, which surprised me because yesterday, they said, was the final full pads practice. In this little, I don't know, run-through, a practice type thing they're doing at the high school today, what will they focus on there today as well?
They're going to focus on substitutions, make sure everyone knows their role, who they go in for at certain times, special team substitutions. One of the biggest problems that you don't want to have is getting into the game and somebody gets hurt during, like an offensive player, say on the field goal protection team, gets hurt on the drive down, and the other guy that's backing him up is sitting there glad slapping his buddy back there, and you got to go in for a field goal, and then you got to call a timeout because nobody's in there. Nothing infuriates a coach more than that, and it seems very simple, but guys can forget. They get caught up in the game, and all of a sudden someone's not in there. So they're going with substitutions, just fine-tuning who's here, who's there, personnel, and then it's okay, get off your feet. And then they just want to see how the shoes feel on the turf when they're going over the stadium. It's real important. I mean, grasses are different. You might not think they are, but you want to take a couple cuts in your shoes and stuff just to get comfortable with it.
Just get familiar. That makes a ton of sense. All right, this morning, like I said, bright and early, we also heard from Gene Chizik. He said one of their main keys is to stop the run. How will they deal with Oregon's blur offense? Yeah, we'll look into that. And of course, one of the mantras for the Oregon team is win the day. Will they win the day tomorrow? We'll talk more about that right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by the Tire Factory. Always the right tire, always the right price. By Sherry's, simply great food. And by Widmer Brothers Brewing. Ordinary brothers, extraordinary beers.
Are you planning on keeping your vehicle for a few more years? Then head to Tire Factory and save yourself money and headaches by getting the service now to prevent expensive repairs and breakdowns later on. Let the experts at Tire Factory take care of your maintenance, brakes, alignment, and tires. They'll keep your vehicle safe, reliable, and on the road. Always the right tire, always the right price. Trust what you love to Tire Factory.
A story of brotherly love, of beer. 1984, brothers Kurt and Rob Widmer turn a homebrewing hobby into a vocation. 1986, the Widmer brothers pioneered the American Hefeweizen. To complement its natural citrus notes, they serve it with a lemon, and a legend is born. Today, it remains the definitive American wheat beer. Widmer Hefeweizen, the cloudy beer served with a lemon.
Is your computer running slowly? Does it take more than 3 seconds for your email to load? Are you frustrated with error messages, blue screens, computer freezes, and crashes? These are not only annoying, but can cause permanent damage to your computer. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, your computer and your privacy may be at risk, because these are usually the telltale signs of a virus, and it can only get worse until you act. Get a free diagnosis at mycleanpc.com.
My Clean PC is outstanding, and my computer is running faster than ever.
My Clean PC came through with flying colors when no one else could.
My Clean PC totally cleaned up my system and increased my speed.
MyCleanPC.com can remove spyware, viruses, and infected emails, all speeding up your PC's performance. It offers all-in-one protection, and it's been downloaded by millions of users. Even if you have antivirus software, your computer could still be infected. Find out instantly with a free comprehensive diagnosis at mycleanpc.com.
This is National Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet, presented by McDonald's.
We cannot talk about tomorrow's game without talking about the Heisman winner, Cam Newton, far and away the winner in voting. And of course, number 2, Andrew Luck, deciding to stay. Shocked me and our buddy, LaMichael James at 3rd, of course. But man, Cam Newton, just hands down the voting, not even close.
Not even close. And it's absolutely correct. The guy was phenomenal this year. Absolutely the best player in college football, hands down this year.
All right, we have a fun little game plan for the rest of our show. Yep, it is matchups. We got to go over them. It is brought to you by Sherry's. There will be 8 of them. We'll send it down, ask our friends down in Arizona their feelings on the matchup, get their opinions. We'll give it yours, and guess what? We kind of get to decide. That's the fun thing.
Perfect.
We listen to them, but, you know, it's really more about us, right?
Isn't it always?
Like I said, there are 8 total. We'll go back and forth, give our opinions, and then someone will receive the infamous check mark. There are the matchups brought to you by Sherry's. Look forward to that. The first one, yeah, that'll be coming up very shortly. Cam Newton. All right, the question of the day, the question of the year. Is he stoppable? Our Dwight James asked the Ducks.
Newton back to throw, under some pressure, pulls up, has his man open. Cam Newton won the Heisman Trophy. He's the best football player in college right now.
Cam Newton's a great player. He's a dual threat quarterback. He obviously can run and pass.
We're just excited to be after, you know, a Heisman winner, just a big athletic quarterback. So it should be fun for our defense to get after him.
A lot of what makes this guy good is his size. The guy is huge. He's a monster.
6'6", 250. He's big as a defensive end and can run, you know what I mean? His size, his speed, and his talent, like, he's just a great player, and he knows how to use his body very well.
Why is he so hard to tackle?
I don't know. He's big, you know, but he's just big and he's determined. You know, our defense is determined. We have a great defensive line, great linebackers, great DBs, so we're just ready to get after him.
He's bigger than most of our D linemen, but we just got to go out there and rally him, take shots when we, you know, take good shots, no cheap shots when we can, and just go out there and have fun.
The way they run their offense, they do a lot of power run games, and they're very successful with the run game. That's what opens up the passing game, and which is why they're able to buy so much time in the passing game. It sucks people up and it sucks safeties and defenders up to try to stop the run, and that's why they're able to hit the deep ball so much. So we just got to stay focused and read our keys.
Last year, another oversized quarterback, Ohio State's Terrell Pryor, gave the Ducks fits. One guy, though, didn't have too many problems. Kenny Rose sacked him 3 times.
That's a pretty good comparison. It's the same size quarterbacks. Newton has a couple more pounds on Pryor, but that's the only type of quarterback we didn't face like that.
What are you thinking about with him? How hard has he been to tackle? I mean, why is he so hard to tackle?
He's bigger than everybody else, so it's pretty hard to tackle a quarterback that can move like that.
Rashad, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Cam Newton. Nobody stops the guy. I think you have to control him a little bit. And maybe it would help, too, to take one thing away from him. Either take away his running or take away his passing. Take your pick. Pick your poison.
Well, when you look at this matchup, Auburn passing versus Oregon defense, you have to start off with the guy and the talent that's delivering the football. And Cam Newton is a talent. From Bo Jackson himself, he said, this kid is a talent who only comes once in a blue moon. I am confident that our big boys up front will get pressure on Cam Newton, but can they bring him down? I'm also confident that our secondary, Boyette, Pleasant, Jackson, and Cliff Harris will be able to make plays, but can they stay in coverage long enough to guard those receivers, because Cam Newton is going to extend that play. Now you have to guard a receiver for 6 or 7 seconds. That's difficult. I give this, Dwight, and it should be obvious, I give this to Auburn because Cam Newton is the most valuable player in all of college football. How do you bet against him?
No, I have to agree with that. And I will say this, too. You better not let him have the game of his life the way they did last year in the Rose Bowl with Terrell Pryor. That's the best game Terrell Pryor's ever played, before or since. If they have that happen with Cam Newton, I'm sorry, it's a long, long day for the Ducks.
I know I'll ask this. All right, you guys. Obviously, we know your opinion on this one. Auburn pass. Cam Newton is the man. But my buddy here, Matt Brock, has something to say about it. Not so sure about this one.
I'm going to go against the grain. I think Cam Newton just sitting in a pocket, okay, just throwing the ball, the Oregon D has the advantage. I think we're going to create some turnovers. I think we're going to get some pressure on them. And I think our DB is going to have a great day. Now, if Auburn's pass includes Cam Newton scrambling and running on broken plays, then I'll give it to Auburn, because I think it's two different things. If Oregon Ducks can keep him hemmed in the pocket, okay, and tighten that noose around him without giving him a seam to run through, okay, then, you know, I'll give that to Oregon. But again, as you're seeing on the TV right now, a broken play where he gets to create, okay, it's not necessarily him throwing the ball, it's him running the ball that scares me. Now, you see him getting a lot of open passes right here. I think our secondary is better than that. I really do. I think we're going to be able to cover those receivers one-on-one and apply pressure with our front.
Wow, well, you know, we talk about he is a tall drink of water, and that's why he's so effective passing, because he can see more. He's 6'6", my goodness. 250 pounds. This is my favorite. He is bigger, you guys, than the Duck linebackers, and faster. Casey Matthews at 6'2", Spencer Paysinger at 6'3". Not even close. Not even close poundage-wise either. Like I said, he is a tall drink of water, so he can see where he is throwing better. You said the secondary, Oregon secondary, will play well, but what about the pressure on Cam Newton? Because, like I said, he's so big, he just can see the field so much better than the average quarterback.
Well, see, that's what worries me a little bit. I have no doubt that we're going to get some pressure on him, but it's how the pressure comes. When we apply pressure, are we going to leave some gaps in the defensive line? Are we going to leave him an escape route? Are we going to leave him a path to see and throw the ball? That's what's scary about it. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't with this pressure. You don't want to sit back and just let him have his way and read the defense and throw it. You got to take your shots. You got to pressure him. You got to make him move his feet. As scary as that sounds.
It does sound scary.
But you don't just want to let him sit there. You got to apply some pressure. Play like we have all year. Play the defense with the same mentality you have all year. Why change it? It's been successful all year. Hey, if the guy beats you, he's just better. That's all there's to it.
Many, many valid points. I listened to them all, but I am sorry. Don't be mad. I know we're just starting, but I'm going to have to give the point to Auburn pass over Oregon D. I think Dwight and Rashad feel the same. I really did appreciate your thoughts, though. I mean, truly.
I'll give you a told you so after.
So, okay, the big check mark. Matchup number 1, brought to you by Sherry's, goes to Big Cam Newton and the Auburn pass over the Oregon D. All right, Cam Newton is a big boy, but you know who else is? Nick Fairley. More on him when we return right here on Championship Eve.
switched our car insurance to Amica, I knew right away we'd found something special. My wife called for a quote, and when she got off the phone, she said,
"Okay, I'm impressed. They explained everything." When you call Amica, we'll take the extra time to ask questions, find out what you really need, and explain your options. Making sure you have the right coverage is just the beginning of a great customer experience.
So the next day, I tell this guy at work I'd switch to Amica, and he says,
"Great company. They found all these ways to help me save money."
You could save hundreds by switching to Amica, and you'll be choosing the company that's built a reputation for customer satisfaction and great customer service.
So about a year later, I got into an accident. When I got to the body shop, that guy told me,
"Oh, you're with Amica? Oh, they're the best. Oh, yeah, they're really going to take care of you."
So call Amica now and make the switch. You could save a lot of money on auto insurance. Call 877-98-AMICA.
"You want something different? Something better? Call Amica."
In a digital world, little pieces of information can move around pretty easily. But when they come together by the tens of millions to create all the things we love online, well, that's another story. And if you have DSL, your internet connection can get really bogged down. That's why you need high-speed internet from Xfinity. With more bandwidth and download speeds of up to 50 megabits per second, you'll enjoy movies, music, gaming, and social networking sites the way they were meant to be. Call 1-800-XFINITY right now to get our best offer on Xfinity Internet and start getting more out of everything you use the internet for.
Never in my lifetime did I think I could walk 60 miles in 3 days.
60 miles compared to what a cancer patient goes through is a walk in the park.
From the moment I registered, people started immediately supporting me and asking me how they could help.
You meet the most wonderful, inspiring people.
When you accomplish those 60 miles, it's truly life-changing.
Register today for the Susan G. Komen 3-Day for the Cure and receive $25 off your registration fee, because everyone deserves a lifetime.
This is National Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet, presented by McDonald's.
We have begun our matchups, and we are all ready to number 2 Oregon passing versus Auburn defense. Auburn passing already got their first pigskin check mark. Number 2 is coming up. All right, you guys, like I've said, Oregon offense, we've been talking about it all week long, all year long. They are something special, something very, very special. Chip Kelly has got these guys ready. They are multifaceted, to say the least, making it nearly impossible for their opponents to prepare for them. That is why they have been so successful this year. This offense, it's tough to get a handle on.
Play fake again. The pass wide open is Huff. Huff at the 20, the 10. Touchdown, Ducks.
It's the most talked about offense in the nation, built upon one main component: speed.
He is going to walk into the end zone, and just like that 10-point lead of the Sun Devils gone.
The Oregon Ducks lead the nation in average points per game, second most in team total offense, and have the nation's top running back, LaMichael James.
Here he is again.
Here comes LaMichael. Touchdown.
Offensive guru Chip Kelly has brought multiple play formations to create a hybrid offense that keeps defensive coordinators scratching their heads. It starts with the pistol offense, originating in Nevada, where the quarterback is 4 yards behind center rather than 7 yards as in a shotgun. Then there's the shotgun offense, used mainly for passing plays with a back on one or both sides before the snap. Then there's the single wing offense, created by Pop Warner in the early 40s and 50s, where a wingback and a tight end align together. Then there's the spread offense, which combines a no-huddle approach in the shotgun formation, spreading the field horizontally with 3 to 5 wide receiver sets. And finally, the veer offense, generally regarded as a triple option. The veer is designed as a 4-back attack, with one player taking a dive course, one taking a pitch course, and another being a lead blocker on the perimeter. Take all 5 of these offensive formations, and you've got what the media has coined as the blur offense.
Thomas this time goes to his left, looks to the end zone. Touchdown, Jeff Mayo.
From Wikipedia to the New York Times, newspapers and blogs have all written about Chip Kelly's offense and why it works so well. The answer, speed.
Now he throws it to Huff. Touchdown, Oregon.
The play calls are simple, which allows Oregon to snap the ball faster. Maybe 20 plays total, though several involve an option about who carries the ball. The most impressive stat is 15 seconds, which is the amount of time from the spot of the ball to the next snap.
Sherrell Casey, fine defensive lineman, finally brings him down.
Here comes the speed again from Darren Thomas and the Ducks.
Give it to James again. Daylight, first down, breaks free. Foot race for the end zone. Walks right in.
Lane Kiffin commented on his players' conditioning after the Ducks rolled the Trojans 53-32. You can see the difference in the burst of our guys in the first and second quarter to the late third and fourth quarter. Even though we were substituting guys, we didn't have enough guys to substitute for everybody.
Here's Thomas to throw, plenty of time. Now he throws it, complete, touchdown.
After beating the Bruins 60-13, Rick Neuheisel said, "It seems like they're playing a bigger field than the rest of us." In 2009, when Chip Kelly took over as head coach, the team practices changed dramatically. The tempo at which they practiced at doubled, lots of reps and lots of play calls. Former NFL coach John Gruden was impressed after visiting the fast-paced Oregon practice during the summer. "I was dizzy walking off the field. It's a philosophy that is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I love it, and I can't get enough of it."
On the option, Thomas. Nice fake into the end zone. Darren Thomas, 6-yard touchdown.
The quarterback position is key to the success in the Blur offense. This year, redshirt sophomore Darren Thomas is leading the way. The passing game is up from 180 yards per game from last year to 234 yards per game this year. The Ducks are averaging 304 yards per game on the ground this year, nearly doubling the totals from 2004. The average time of a Ducks scoring drive is just under 2 minutes. By the time you're done watching this, the Ducks will have scored 2 times, 1,020 babies will have been born, 3,800 cell phones will have been sold, and the earth will have been hit by 2,400 lightning strikes.
All right, here's my feeling on this. You know, Auburn's had more than a month to prepare for the Ducks offense. They think they're prepared. I'm not so sure they are. I think you are always thinking you're prepared, but until you get on the field with this offense, you have no idea what you're facing.
Well, coaches try to create an offense like this and even a defense sometimes to cause matchups, right? How can we best match up? If we're not as strong as these guys, then let's be faster. If we're not as big, then let's be quicker through the trenches and getting the play calling off. But when you look at Oregon's passing, it all starts off in protection. And what better way to protect your quarterback than have the running game of LaMichael James and Kenyon Barter with this offense, Dwight? And when you look at the entire concept and dynamic of this offense, it's all set up in play action. And just that little hesitation that's going to give the defensive line and Fairley and the big boys up front will give Darren Thomas the time to throw the ball down to the mailman, who we know will deliver on Monday. DJ Davis, a receiver, big and strong. Ed Paulson, the tight end that will sneak behind the linebackers and continue to get third down conversions for us. But it's the running backs out of the backfield, the quick screens, and the passing game that's an extension of the run game. You have to give this to the best offense in the country, and that's Darren Thomas and the University of Oregon.
Well, and don't forget, Auburn's weakness all year has been pass defense.
That's right.
That's where they're most vulnerable. They give up very, very few yards in the running game all season long, but in the passing game, they've been hit deep, they've been hit often. You got to give the Ducks the edge in this department.
Well, when you look at it, you know, if I can, I know Brock is our guy in studio right now. He's fired up, but big fella, you guys don't stand a chance going sideline to sideline with this offense. And when you look at the entire dynamic, Dwight, that's the key. Both coaches are saying, I don't know if we are ready for this or not. It's going to take a quarter to get warmed up, but we're so excited that finally, all of our questions will be answered. SEC, Pac-10, Auburn, and Oregon's tempo.
Well, there you go, Matt. Rashad kind of asked you a question.
Evidently, he never saw me play. No. He's right. The big fellas can't run sideline to sideline all the time in this offense. It just wears you out, you know. Your linebackers have to take it. If the ball's 10 yards away from me, it's somebody else's job. But, you know, right now, Oregon's passing game, got to give them the edge. The Auburn secondary has been maligned. They've given up big plays. They're not very highly ranked passing defense-wise. Again, little caveat. We have got to protect the quarterback. We have got to slow those defensive linemen down. We can't give him, free rein to get in the backfield and disrupt Thomas. Although he's good on the run, he can make plays. You know what? It would be nicer just to let him get back there and think about it and have the D-line worry about the run if we can establish that.
Well, of course, like they said, the QB is key to the Blur offense. That would be Darren Thomas. And man, this guy is fast. I did not know this. Fastest quarterback in the electronic 20-yard dash, nearly a world's record. That will be key to making this offense successful like he's been doing all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know when they started clocking 20-yard dashes, but I guess it was fairly recent in the last few years.
Yeah.
But, that's big. That shows quickness. He gets up to speed in a hurry. He looks like, Dixon, long and lanky.
Yeah.
He's moving faster than he looks, and he can make some serious cuts. So this is just going to be really exciting. And again, I think Auburn has to worry about broken plays on the offense of Oregon's offense, not just Cam Newton on the broken plays running. I think Darren Thomas can, when we get a broken play, he can seriously make up for it with his legs.
Yeah, his legs, of course. He's so lean, so fast, but don't forget he is strong too. Okay, time for our pigskin match. Yep, we're going to give it up to matchup number 2. It is, of course, Oregon pass, Auburn defense. Everyone kind of agreeing on this one. Throw that football to Oregon passing. Yep, Sherry's brought to you by. How about that? Oregon. All right, we're kind of even so far. I'm digging it. Auburn's got one. Oregon's got one. Everyone's kind of agreeing. I know the first matchup you had your issues with, but we got a lot more. We got, what, 6 more to talk about? You'll come on top one of those.
I have a feeling it's all going to balance out, just like this game's going to be. I mean, going into this game, it's a good matchup, so I'd be surprised if we give anybody too much of an edge.
All right, you see that lady right there? That's my friend. That's Carrie. She's a psychic. I sit with her when we return right here on Championship Eve.
Championship Eve on Comcast Sports.
Can't help but think so, which could explain why he called Arizona
on this terrible day.
Christina, the official Duck Pep Rally. I want you to enjoy the sights and sounds of it. Listen. It was an ocean of green and yellow. 25,000 Duck fans turned out for the massive pep rally.
If you believe in karma, we are playing in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, and your head coach is named Chip.
This is our time to be bold. Go Ducks!
You can bring the magic of Autzen to Glendale.
I love my duck, I love my duck. I love my duck. Thank you.
Hey, can you do me one favor, everybody? Can you give me a Go Ducks? Yeah, I love that, I love that. Call me a duck, call me a duck, call me a duck. You know you make me want to shout, kill me, shout.
It was the pep rally before the big game, but for those who were here, it was more than that. It was a moment they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
It's big. I went to the Holiday Bowl 2 years ago, and it was not even close to like this. This is just one huge bash.
Otis Day and the Knights, didn't you just love it? Tim Becker joining me right now.
How can you not have a blast when Otis Day and the Knights from Animal House fame is up there rocking the stage?
There are about 20,000 fans who have showed up here in Scottsdale, Oregon fans, who don't have tickets. They just came to enjoy all the events. They hope to get tickets. But, Tim, I noticed tonight, as the rally and the party was winding down, a serious tone. This is game day
right
now.
People realize it. They're out there starting to look for those tickets for those people without them. But it is a week long of festivity and fun, and for the teams and coaches it's practice and interviews with media, and part of the rigmarole is that it's just about time when the coaches have their press conference together in the same room with that crystal trophy. And of course, later in the show, we're going to let you hear the coach's final comments before they go to war out there for that big prize.
Okay, much more to come. Some surprises from here in Arizona, Kelly. You won't want to miss it. So we'll talk to you in just a few minutes from Scottsdale, Arizona. We'll send it back to Portland for now. See you in a few.
But because Bubba is a dominant alpha female, this was
Sports Center, right now!
The show featured high-profile Oregon alums like ESPN anchor Neil Everett, who emceed with Peter Jacobson. There were lots of familiar faces like Joey Harrington and Ahmad Rashad, who still holds records from his days at the U of O. Check out his picture in the media guide.
It wasn't me. No, it's a cool picture. It was a cool picture.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't? So what was the difference in that and the Heisman Trophy pose? Same thing. Plus my fro was like right. It was very cool.
Now this is cool. Otis Day and the Knights from Animal House. Coach Chip Kelly's motto is win the day, and Duck fans won this day. It was a great party.
Here we go.
It was a lot of fun, no question. I'm guessing a lot of those fans are probably still at it at this late hour. The players, though, wonder if they're asleep.
They should be. They better be.
Well, we do know one thing. The uniforms tomorrow, what they'll look like.
You know, Joe, part of what's made Oregon around the country is the marketing arm of the university. Don't forget those billboards in Times Square, New York City, of Joey Harrington and Luke Ridnour back early in the last decade. Uniforms also a big part of that marketing arm. And Nike has come up with something really sharp for tomorrow night's title game. The sleek look and design is the Beaverton-based company's latest creation. Now, obviously, this sort of thing is subjective, but this one, boy, it'd be hard to disagree that it looks pretty good, and it'll be on display for the first time for a huge national TV audience tomorrow night. And really, isn't that the point?
What the coach always says is, you know, every recruiting tool you use everything in your toolkit, and the fact that uniforms become a part of a recruiting package is phenomenal. And I think, you know, this again just reflects the value of Oregon.
This is very official. See, we got the number right here on the sleeve, you see? And you know, the material is light and it fits you. I mean, it even makes the lineman look good. So what we got going here at Oregon is a special thing.
I'll tell you what, Jonathan Stewart would have looked pretty good running in that uniform. Plays for the Carolina Panthers now, of course, but it's a great dynamic, and we'll have more on Sports Sunday to see all of these former Ducks come back. They're acting like proud parents, as they should.
And lots of them did come back. And the word on the street is this BCS game is blowing out records as far as ticket demands, prices. Car rental agencies say they've never seen anything like it. Bars are running out of booze and food.
Well, think about this boost for the Phoenix-Scottsdale economy in a time when, obviously, the economy is down.
And tomorrow, it happens.
Finally.
As we sit here tomorrow night at this time, we'll know who is the national champion. Amy, back to you in Portland.
All right, we've been waiting 37 days for it, and a whole lot of decades, too. If you want to show your love for the Ducks, stop by the Pioneer Courthouse Square tomorrow morning. Drew Carney will lead a pep rally outside our KGW studio on the square during our sunrise newscast. That is Monday morning from 5 until 7 a.m.
Oregon takes on Auburn tomorrow night. It will be a classic East versus West shootout, where Oregon has a chance for the Pac-10 to earn some respect by taking down a team from the dominant Southeastern Conference.
I think there are a lot of conferences, a lot of teams in the nation going, come on, Ducks. You know, help us out here. You know, bring the SEC back to our level.
The SEC really has been the bullies of the BCS. An Auburn victory would give the conference a perfect 7-0 record in the 13 total BCS championship games, and the Tigers could make it 5 straight national titles for their 12-team league.
They have every right to brag about the SEC. You know, they've won most of all the bowl games and national championships, so we can't say anything. You know, they deserve to brag about that.
If Chip Kelly's squad could topple the Tigers, it would show that someone other than USC in the Pac-10 can be the best of the best. But nobody on the Ducks seems to care about anyone who doesn't wear the green and yellow.
We wanted to go out and compete for Oregon. You know, we want to win the game for us.
What do you think about the Pac-10?
Oh, I mean, it's a great conference. You know, you got a lot of good teams over there.
Ducks can earn themselves and their conference respect is by taking this trophy home. Now, as for conference allegiance, this is what I do know, that the rivalry between Auburn and Alabama, the Crimson Tide fans will not be rooting for Auburn. But I think it's going to be interesting to see just how many Oregon State fans can stomach it and root for the Ducks as they root for the Pac-10.
That might be a stretch.
Yes.
I'm not so sure about that one. Katie Brown here, you got something special coming up in sports?
Yes, coming up in sports, a special visit that the Ducks got at practice that helped put this game in perspective for them a little bit.
Looking forward to that coming up in sports, and I'll be back In the morning news to talk about the day ahead, big game coming up. That's just
finally
a few hours
playing
away.
football. Finally going to play some football.
You got that right. We'll see you tomorrow. Katie's coming up very soon. Back to you.
Sounds good. We can't wait. You know, Ducks fans are singing their team's fight song in public with very little embarrassment. That means it must be close to
thousands of Auburn and Ducks fans this evening. A heck of a time for all involved. So let's take a look at that spectacle.
It's 85 degrees here. I don't care how many degrees. It's warm and it's beautiful and the skies are blue and the Ducks are going to win.
The sun's shining, so no, it doesn't feel like I'm in Eugene, but right here, right now, it does, yeah, with all the Duck fans. I love it.
It is absolutely packed to the gills with Duck fans. They're trying to pack more and more in here. I already hear that we've got more Duck fans than Auburn fans.
Oh, yeah!
This is incredible. The energy here is awesome.
It's unreal. There's so many Duck fans here, Auburn fans. It's beautiful weather. People are up in the garages over the site looking down on us. There's probably 10,000 people here.
1,000 Oregon Duck fans that gathered over in Fan Fest for the pep rally. Well, let's be fair. Auburn had a pep rally as well, and they
final time before the kickoff. And what you have here is a couple of guys who are sitting really on top of the college football world. This morning's final meeting with reporters was also a chance for us to see the opposing generals together as they go to war, posing with that $30,000 Sears trophy that will go to the eventual winner. But, you know, part of their message today, they're already winners, they say, feeling blessed to have a couple of groups of guys who brought them to this showcase game, you know, mainly because those guys, those players have bought into the coach's philosophies.
You can see there's just never that element of panic in there. That's because our guys, they trust each other. They trust the coaches to make adjustments. The coaches trust the players to, do what we ask them to do. And we've just been able to adjust and on the move.
We stand for three things: playing fast, playing hard, and finishing. And we've done it 12 opportunities. And that's what our vision is. But our vision has nothing to do with championships. Our vision has nothing to do with getting a crystal ball. Our vision has nothing to do with getting rings. It's about playing the game. And that's what we've done all along, and that's what our vision is.
Chip Kelly is indeed the master of the mantra, just win the day, and that he's done. You know, he's always found a way to dial his guys into his way of thinking, and who can argue with his success? You know, still ahead, we bumped into some big-name guys who are responsible for helping get this team here, and a little bit later in the show, you're going to hear from these fellas. A lot of star power down here right now, Dan, but I understand that you have some star power of your own going on back up there tonight?
Yeah, what a sports night for sure, Tim. I'll tell you what, we had that going on. Some excitement over at the Rose Garden with a little bit of Ducks flavor, as you're about to see. Hard to top what's going on down there, but look at this. Duck colors flying proud as the Blazers host Miami, a primetime match.
Glendale, Arizona, about 20 miles from Glendale and the University of Phoenix Stadium, where the Ducks will face the Tigers just 18 hours from now. I hope all those players are tucked in bed, getting a good night's sleep. We showed you the huge fan rally earlier today, but there were some big names in that crowd.
Yeah, Duck royalty, you might want to call them. You know they would not miss being there. And let's toss it back live to Tim and Jeff. Jeff, take it away, Tim.
Oh, well, you know, Oregon playing for the national championship, and some folks can't believe it. They're pinching themselves, but there are a lot of former Ducks who share in this glory, Tim.
Yeah, not just the players that are on the team right now, and those former players came here to watch the seeds that they planted bear national championship fruit. There's not a Duck fan in the world who doesn't know Dennis Dixon. He won a Super Bowl ring with the Pittsburgh Steelers already, but never experienced something like this when he played quarterback for the Ducks.
It just shows that this organization and everything is on the rise. It's great for us. It's good to see. I'm happy to be here.
Tortilla chips, baby!
Before Dixon, there was Joey Harrington and another quarterback great, Dan Fouts. All of them here to witness and be a part of something they laid the groundwork for years ago.
First time anything like this has ever happened. I mean, there have been some great events in Oregon history, but this is unprecedented. And
it validates all the things that we've done
throughout the years to get to this point. I mean, this is really an all-inclusive game. You know, going all the way back to, you know, Musgrave and the guys who really got this program going.
Thank you.
And fresh off an upset win over the Saints, Seahawks center Max Unger was teammates with some of the Ducks who'll play tomorrow.
You know, never thought in a million years this program would be here, and you know, I couldn't be happier for the guys.
Hey, one other Duck took the stage tonight at that pep rally, as you might have seen earlier. Pretty good credentials here. Ahmad Rashad went by Bobby Moore when he played for the Ducks, former All-Pro receiver in the NFL. Says he wouldn't have missed this thing for the world. And, Jeff, you spoke with him. We're going to hear probably from him tomorrow.
Ahmad Rashad, just a great Duck and a great guy. You know, our run to #1 started with a road trip. Stan Brock and I got in that RV in Portland 5-6 days ago and drove all the way down here to Arizona, and we transported something very special. As we go to break, it was that 55-gallon drum of you-know-what.
Very special
And when we
stuff.
come back, Stan's going to actually talk about what it's going to take for the Ducks, the keys to their victory tomorrow. Stay with us, everyone.
The big game is finally here. Get ready with
several trips in.
Hours away from kickoff between Oregon and Auburn. Of course, a national title at stake. Well, it is tradition. The day before the game, the coaches posing with the winner's trophy. Coach Chip Kelly is asked this morning if he had any special plans for his team tonight. The answer, not really.
If I did something special, our guys would think it's crazy, but, you know, it is, you're right in saying that it's still a football game, you know, and there was nothing more evident to our players. And yesterday after practice, you know, I sat there and I said, I could tell you that this is going to be the game of your life and all these other things, but then we got a chance to meet 4 kids from a Make-A-Wish Foundation. And you tell your kids that you're playing the game of your life, and you got 4 kids that are battling for their lives, and all they want to do is meet our team. So I think it put it in perspective for our players.
Coach Kelly does get to take home a trophy today for one of the 4 National Coach of the Year awards that he has won. Well, the championship run for Oregon has been years in the making, and the past is here to soak it up with the present. Check out the hundreds of Duck fans who turned out early today to welcome Joey Harrington, Dan Fouts, and 4 other former Ducks with NFL ties: the Seahawks' Max Unger, Buffalo's Jarris Byrd, Carolina's Jonathan Stewart, and Pittsburgh's Dennis Dixon. A national championship, that's just like off the charts, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's like a Super Bowl compared to the NFL. I mean, just having a national championship on our belt, go to Oregon, would be great for us.
It makes those bitter defeats and those, you know, the coming so close, it makes it worth it. It makes it feel like we had to fight for something, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
What would a win here mean for you?
It's hard to put into words because there's just so many great memories.
Dan Fouts getting a little emotional thinking about what might be tomorrow night. Our live reports start early in the morning from the stadium. We will be there all day long and hopefully be celebrating tomorrow night. Anita?
It almost feels like the night before Christmas. Everyone's so excited. Katie, thank you. And we'll be right back.
Tomorrow. And you know, we talked about the Duck Pep Rally today. There was a very special guest there. I want to show you who I met backstage. Sebastian Bach. Remember, he sang the Oregon football ballad that became so popular? Well, when I met him backstage, he had only one question for me.
Where the heck is that can of whoop-ass?
Well, here it is right here, and here's our good friend Stan Brock. And Stan, what a trip we had down here. But time to get serious now. What is it going to take? What are the keys to success for Oregon tomorrow?
Well, I think number one, any coach, the thing that you worry about most is distractions. And the players have been down here for almost a week. There's a lot of things going on. This is a great town. Weather's been spectacular. So which coach was able then to keep the distractions to a minimum? And I know, Tim, you've been with them the most.
Right, and I have to give the edge to Chip Kelly and the Ducks on this one simply because they've been through this before, last year at the Rose Bowl.
Number 2.
Number 2, offensive line play. Offensive linemen, I believe in it. I think the biggest thing is, think about this. The defenses from Auburn and Oregon, they get to see the best offenses in the country. They practice against them every day. So it's not going to phase them. It's going to be the offensive line's play. How well will they be able to control the defense?
And the last thing is something we always hear about.
Yeah, you hear about all the time. In a big game, in a special game, it's always going to come down to special teams. The special teams for Oregon to win the game, they have to make one game-changing play. They have to have a big play.
And the last thing is, Stan, at some point tomorrow, right before game time, we're going to have to unbolt the can.
Yeah, I think just about 5 minutes before we'll open the lid and let it go.
Listen, I just want to thank you. It was great traveling with you. Everywhere we met, everyone talked about our trip, and they wanted to see the drum of whoop-ass. All right. Hey, listen, tomorrow we have a special show right before the game from 4 to 5 o'clock. You won't want to miss it. We'll all be there broadcasting. You'll see all the fans. You'll see all the activities from Glendale, Arizona. Back to you now in Portland.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. What's your prediction, Dan?
Check out my blog on CoinLocal6.com. I have the score prediction for you.
Okay, and of course, our special tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. Everyone get a good night's sleep. Big game tomorrow.
Gresham Nissan is the big Nissan dealer. 2010.
The relentless emphasis on speed at practice gets the defense ready to play big minutes for an offense that averages 2 minutes per scoring drive. Next in the defense identity profile is their strength in the second half. They execute strategic changes after halftime to combat any scoring prowess from their opponents in the first half. On average, the Ducks defense has held teams to just 1 second-half score this season. By rotating fresh players in, they wear opponents down. Ultimately, they approach the second half with tenacity.
The enemy of great is good. And we talk in terms of let's run away from good to great.
With this approach towards greatness, the Ducks defense has held 9 of their 12 opponents scoreless in the fourth quarter this season. The secondary is the vulnerable spot of the Oregon defense. They give up a lot of yardage due to the high-risk, high-reward nature of the Duck defensive design. But they also lead the Pac-10 in takeaways, with Harris and Boyette sitting in the top 2 slots for individual interceptions.
And it is intercepted at the 10-yard line.
They are defensive workhorses, often taking a back seat to the spotlight-drenched Oregon offense. But as the game against Cal illustrated, they are capable of game-changing plays, delivering a W when the offense is stalled.
The chemistry, the atmosphere, their work ethic, their attention to detail, their camaraderie has been tremendous.
Nick Aliotti and his aggressive 2010 defense is proving to be the strongest Ducks defense yet.
Rashad, the Ducks have used their run blitzes to control other teams' running games all season. They've done a great job against the run.
Well, blitz as much as you can until you stop the opponent. But when you look at this matchup, you look at the ability of the secondary must tackle. Our secondary guys, if Cam Newton and Dyer, the true freshman stud for Auburn, get into the secondary, we cannot allow big play. That's how this team is going to hurt us. Cam Newton in the secondary versus our smaller defensive backs.
It's going to come down to whether they can do something real easy. That's tackle. That's the basic. You've got to be able to tackle in this game.
All right, you guys agreed, very much agreed, and we talked about tackling. There's been so much time off that will they be able to tackle as well as they did during the regular season? That's something we have to think about too. And my favorite thing about these matchups so far with Matt Brock is that every time I ask him, he says, well, kind of, well, I don't know. I mean, it depends. You have lots of caveats, to say the least.
It's just not black and white.
I know it's not.
The running game, okay? If we're talking strictly yards, I'll give it to Auburn.
Okay.
If we're talking about points and turnovers off those run yards, then I got to give it to Oregon. But if we're strictly talking yards, I got to give the edge to Auburn's run offense versus the Oregon defense. Now, not saying they're going to score a lot, not saying that we're not going to get turnovers and change the tide of the game, but I think Auburn is very effective, especially you throw Cam Newton in the mix. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
That's
what we hope to do.
Truer words never spoken, because not only is he tall ball, drink of water. Like I said, he is fast on his feet. But then, of course, he's got some, other guys to throw the ball to as well.
It's not just him. We can't just focus and just have a spotlight on Cam Newton. Just like Auburn defense can't just put a spotlight on LaMichael James. We have several weapons, and it's a team sport for a reason. Not one person is going to carry it. Auburn, Cam Newton, more so than others, but they have other threats that we cannot forget about. Or if we do, we're going to get burned big time.
Burned big time. Yeah. You know the Oregon D very well. They're going to have to do many things right and very well to win this one. That is why, of course, we're going to have to lean towards...
I'm going to lean towards Auburn.
Yeah, okay.
I am going to lean
I know
towards
that wasn't
Auburn
easy for you.
No, it wasn't. Because there's just too many ifs, what ifs, but maybe. I don't know. Let's play the game.
These matchups, of course, brought to you by Sherry's. This one was our toughest of the day so far. Oregon defense versus Auburn run. Like Matt just said, if we're going yards given up strictly, then we are going Auburn run. Whew, that was a tough one. That was difficult. All right, when we return, talked about it before, Joey Harrington, he's our number 6 bowl performance, sits down with Dwight coming up right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by the Tire Factory. Always the right tire, always the right price. By Sherry's, simply great food. And by Widmer Brothers Brewing. Ordinary brothers, extraordinary beers.
Are you planning on keeping your vehicle for a few more years? Then head to Tire Factory and save yourself money and headaches by getting the service now to prevent expensive repairs and breakdowns later on. Let the experts at Tire Factory take care of your maintenance, brakes, alignment, and tires. They'll keep your vehicle safe, reliable, and on the road. Always the right tire, always the right price. Trust what you love to Tire Factory.
Story of brotherly love, of beer. 1984, brothers Kurt and Rob Widmer turn a homebrewing hobby into a vocation. 1986, the Widmer brothers pioneered the American Hefeweizen. To complement its natural citrus notes, they serve it with a lemon, and a legend is born. Today, it remains the definitive American wheat beer. Widmer Hefeweizen, the cloudy beer served with a lemon.
When we switched our car insurance to Amica, I knew right away we'd found something special. My wife called for a quote, and when she got off the phone, she said,
"Okay, I'm impressed. They explained everything." When you call Amica, we'll take the extra time to ask questions, find out what you really need, and explain your options. Making sure you have the right coverage is just the beginning of a great customer experience.
So the next day, I tell this guy at work I'd switch to Amica, and he says, "Great company. They found all these ways to help me save money."
You could save hundreds by switching to Amica, and you'll be choosing the company that's built a reputation for customer satisfaction and great customer service.
So about a year later, I got into an accident. When I got to the body shop, that guy told me,
"Oh, you're with Amica? Oh, they're the best. Oh, yeah, they're really going to take care of you."
So call Amica now and make the switch. You could save a lot of money on auto insurance. Call 877-98-AMICA.
You want something different? Something better? Call Amica.
This is National Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet, presented by McDonald's.
During my fantastic week in Glendale and Scottsdale, I saw many diehard fans, some alumni, and many former players. One of those down there right now is Joey Harrington. Our Dwight James caught up with him.
Joey, what's this mean to you to see the Ducks in this sort of a situation and this kind of a big stage?
You know, it's funny. We've been in a big stage like, I don't want to say not like this before, but we've been on the big stage for probably about 10 years now. But to see it get to this point really makes me think about all the hard work that's gone in before this season. You know, it honestly makes me think of guys like Bill Musgrave, Kristen McLemore, Jeremy Asher, Rich Rule, Danny O'Neill, Peter Sermon, Justin Wilcox. You know, you just go through the progressions and you can see every step that this program has taken. From the first bowl game in '89 with Bill Musgrave, to the surprise Rose Bowl of the '94 season, to the Sun Bowl, which was great for us, to the turning into a Fiesta Bowl and a possible national championship, to Dennis Dixon's near championship run in '07, to where we are right now. And every year it's gotten a little bit bigger and a little bit better, and we've gotten a little bit closer. And for whatever reason, this is the year we put it all together.
And you've got a unique connection too, Joe. Your father was a quarterback for the Ducks, and I imagine that gives you a ringside seat to see what it means to some of the older alums too, guys who played a long time ago. Old guys like me even. Not that your dad is as old as me.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about this Oregon program is the history of the coaches. Coach Bellotti was the head coach for 95 through just this last 2 seasons ago. And on his staff, he had guys that had been there for a long time. You got guys like Zambukos, who had just left, Sheffield, who just retired, Greatwood, Aliotti, Campbell, Pelham, guys who have been around. So there's a definite connection between the new and not the old, but the past. And so that's something that's really present in this Oregon program, is a feeling of the guys who have come before. And even, many years before, the years before the Toilet Bowl, the years, the Terry Baker, playing against Terry Baker years, that connection exists. And so it's great to see those players and those guys have a connection to this. They would tell us stories. My dad and some of his friends would tell us stories about how they were giving away tickets to Autzen. My dad played the first game at Autzen Stadium, and I see pictures from that, and there are fans just kind of interspersed through the seats, and to see that turn into what it is now is really special.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to ask you too, in regard to that, Joey, is this team has something unique, and I'm sure you see it even as a guy who's not on the team. There's a certain character to this team, is there not?
I think a lot of that comes from Chip. I do. And not that Mike Bellotti didn't do a fantastic job. I mean, heck, he was one of the major players in building this program into what it is now, but sometimes a little bit of change of mojo is what you need to get over the hump, and especially Chip's type of mojo. I mean, it's call it what you want, East Coast, it kind of comes off as, maybe a little arrogant sometimes, but you always get the same thing. You always know what you're going to get from Chip. It's going to be honesty. It's going to be direct to the point. There's not going to be any messing around with him. And so that kind of attitude, that kind of confidence, I think, is what has inspired this team to be what it is. The Rose Bowl last year in Chip's first season, a national championship in his second. How are you going to follow that up in year 3?
All right, Joey Harrington, when he speaks, you got to listen. This is a guy whose bowl performances really are second to none. 3 bowl games, 3 victories leading this Oregon team. So I listen when Joey speaks. Now, you had a chance to talk to another local Portland boy who's a part of this year's Duck team, right?
Well, when you hear Joey talk about the history, that's when you refer to the legacy that's built. And then we talk about also the transition of the athletes. After all these years, the transition in coaching. How do we get to this point? Well, athletes, these guys are even on the offensive line. And Bo Thrand is a guy who played multiple sports growing up. He's right here. He's the only starter on this Ducks championship team that's from Oregon. That's right here down our street, Barlow High School. He's just a good old country boy, strong and a great athlete. Bo, check this out.
Sophomore year of high school, started getting letters or various recruiting notes from schools, and I didn't quite, being a young kid, I didn't really understand it at first, and I never thought it would develop into something that it has become.
When we were getting to be actually, when we were sophomores, we both started a defense on varsity, and I knew he was a special player there because he was taking up the middle of the D-line, and we played defense the whole time. That's kind of like a tough thing to do, go against offenses as a sophomore, all these seniors and stuff like that. And then junior year came around, and he was, just beating everybody up on the field, and he knew, like, he got a good chance to go from there. And
me and Bo actually
grew up together, going to West Orient. He was a year older than me in middle school, so him and Brady were always kind of the big, sports stars over there. So I kind of knew at that point he was going to be pretty good in high school, and then once we got to high school, he developed into just the athlete that he is today, and we pretty much knew, he was going to be big time.
Going into my, I guess it was junior year, my about February, basketball day, junior day down here, and Coach Bellotti offered me a scholarship, and when that happened, it kind of like, dang, this thing's for real. I really have a chance to go do something with myself at the next level.
Well, what I think makes Bo a very good offensive lineman is not only size and his ability to move, but he's a smart football player, very smart kid, and he's got some nasty in him. He's a physical kid. You watch him on that field, he's willing to mix it up with anybody. He ain't afraid of anybody.
All throughout high school, we'd be coming in here, 3-4 mornings a week in the off season, grinding out, lifting weights at 7 a.m. And, there wasn't many days when people weren't, when Bo wasn't in here. I mean, if he wasn't, he was doing basketball in the morning or baseball in the morning.
We would, weight train in the off season together. And then we were always hanging out, whether it was, screwing around in class or just hanging out. After practice, before practice, but we were just always around each other, and that's a lot of what we have here. Just a tight-knit group. It's just led to our success.
He was dominant in high school, and a lot of guys in Oregon get overlooked, as like dominant players, and he got that chance and he took it, and he's overcame like injuries and stuff like that, and became like outstanding player. Like
work ethic, and work hard, and don't take things for granted. And you set your mind to something, you get after it, and Bo sends a great message about that.
If you're a high school football player or high school kid in Oregon, you got a shot at wherever you want to go. Just put your nose to the grindstone and put in the work, and anything's possible.
Thran, local kid, done good. You know what? I was really surprised to find out that this offensive lineman, the only starter from around the Portland area. I was shocked. I know that when you played, you had Oregon kids all over the place.
It was, when I was at Oregon, it was like the who's who of the Shrine Game of Oregon. I mean, we had three guys from Beaverton High School alone my freshman year, including Anthony Newman. And we had guys from, various parts of Roseburg and all over the place. And now it just seems like it's an endangered species in Oregon, it seems. I mean, maybe the recruiting has just gotten that much more diverse out of the area. Of course, we pull a lot from California. Now we're getting into Texas. So, there's a lot of options. I still think there's a lot of athletes from Oregon that are coming out. Don't know why they're not landing at Oregon, but I don't know. As long as we keep going to national championship, I really don't care.
No complaints here, right?
I'm a California transplant, too, so.
All right. Chip Kelly, of course, looking forward to the game tomorrow. He is a tough-as-nails coach, but he may have formed that attitude by playing a different sport. That's coming up.
I played on a line my senior year where I think we scored 160 points, the three of us. And I
in how many games?
In 20, and I had 15 of them.
Tomorrow, you'll be busy, hungry, and needing an oil change. So get to the new Broadway Toyota's Express Service Bays, grab a bite at our deli, and get all caught up. At the new Broadway Toyota at the Rose Quarter, you never need an appointment for genuine Toyota parts and service. We'll drain you, plug you, lube you, and rotate your tires for only $49.95 for most cars. Anyway, you get the picture. The new Broadway Toyota at the top of the I-5 Rose Quarter exit. To keep your Toyota running like a Toyota, Broadway is the only way.
Are you planning on keeping your vehicle for a few more years? Then head to Tire Factory and save yourself money and headaches by getting the service now to prevent expensive repairs and breakdowns later on. Let the experts at Tire Factory take care of your maintenance, brakes, alignment, and tires. They'll keep your vehicle safe, reliable, and on the road. Always the right tire, always the right price. Trust what you love to Tire Factory.
I don't want to work out this morning. Isn't there some law against sweating before 9 a.m.? Get in shape. Who needs it? Oh yeah, I do. I need motivation. I need coffee? No. Well, hey there, buddy.
Want to actually feel like working out? Try 5 Hour Energy. It's quick, simple, and just the thing to help you get up and moving.
Let's do this.
5 Hour Energy. Feel like working out for a change.
These kids almost had a new community center. A contractor almost volunteered to build it. A carpenter almost worked on the crew. And everyone else almost gave at the fundraiser. They almost gave. Almost. And these kids? Well, they almost stayed out of trouble.
Comcast Sportsnet, home of the Trailblazers.
Trailblazers Courtside will bring you the most in-depth Trailblazers coverage around.
Rip City Live, a Blazer pregame show before every home game.
Rip City, baby.
Talking ball, a round-table discussion after every Blazers game.
Catch all 60 games in HD.
LaMarcus right side jams! Comcast Sportsnet, home of the Portland Trailblazers.
Game on.
This is National Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet, presented by McDonald's.
All right, we are up to matchup number 7. Very even up till now. And of course, it is time to talk about the top dogs. It is the coaches. Whew, I'm a little scared about this one. Kelly versus Chizik. We've already given Chip Kelly the ball for the press conference this morning. He really stole that one. But will he win overall? We'll get to that later. Ask our buddies down in Arizona as well. All right, Chip Kelly, my goodness, he is a very busy man, isn't he? He is tough to get sitting down to answer more than one question. If there is a guy that can do it, though, it is the Godfather. Here is Dwight Chains with the coach.
You mentioned my blog in a media
I've read your
conference
blog.
call, and I appreciated the plug. It was
I
good.
read your blog, and you made a very nice comment about our team and after the Civil War and how well you thought they were disciplined and how they were prepared, and I shared that with our team.
Good, because yeah, I meant that too, Chip. That's the thing that people don't want to. They don't want to talk about comportment until it's bad comportment, and I certainly will talk about that.
Yeah,
but
one way or the other.
Yeah, but I think when you do good, people have to say that too.
I agree.
Your kids have handled themselves pretty well.
And I've talked to our players about that all the time. Is that when people see you, I want them to say, "Hey, that must be of an Oregon football player because of the way he carries himself, and not because he's carrying himself in the wrong way."
I talked to you earlier outside, and then you were in a hurry, you had to get practice and everything, and I watched you go down the hall, and you kind of were running along, and there was something hanging down from the ceiling. You reached up and you jumped up and banged on it. It reminded me of a kid, you know? You got energy. You're still, it's like you should be tired or something.
Well, the fun part of this job is going to practice, so we get pumped up and we get a chance to get around our players and around our coaches, and practicing games is the ultimate at this place.
When you were an assistant coach, a young guy walking around, did you have sort of a file in your mind of things that you were going to break out or try when you became a head coach? And was that in the file and what else was, I guess?
Yeah, there are. You know, there are things. I think I've always been a person that you can learn from every situation. Learn from, wow, that's a great idea, and that's something that makes a lot of sense, or wow, that's not such a good idea. I'm going to make sure I don't go that way, so that if the opportunity comes, you know, you're not kind of caught off guard and say, hey, I'm not prepared for this. I think every coach, you know, kind of prepares for what's the next step in your career and how you're going to do it. And when that opportunity comes, are you ready to seize the moment? So I had a process in mind of, you know, if I were to take over a program, how would I run that program?
We had some people interviewed from New Hampshire at one point, and guys you knew in childhood and college and everything, and some of them mentioned that you as a kid were a pretty good athlete, and somebody I heard mention that you played hockey. And I have a vision of you as a hockey player. I see you as a center ice man, a guy who's a pretty good passer, but who's kind of feisty too, and maybe a little bit of an instigator. How close am I?
You're kind of close. I played wing. We had a better center. We won a couple state championships.
Did you?
I played on a line my senior year where I think we scored 160 points, the three of us, and I
in how many games?
In 20, and I had 15 of them. So Phil Hebert and Kenny Murray combined for 145, I think.
So why were you on that line then?
Because I was the only guy that would go in a corner. I had two pretty boys that didn't want to go in a corner and get the puck. So I love playing hockey. I think it's a great sport. Taught you a lot about spacing. You know, it's a flow game. You know, it's always going up, going back. If someone makes a mistake, you got to turn and transition right away. I had a lot of fun, and it was a big part of, if you grew up in New England, it was something you did, and I really enjoyed it. I was the only football player that played on our hockey team, but we had a great hockey program at my high school and had a great coach that was, you know, just had a way about him. Wally Tafe has won a couple state championships back there, and I had a blast playing it.
You have some time now to put some stuff in for this game, gadgets, tricks. You gonna have some of that stuff?
We may, but we're not. We've never been a big gadget operation. We've been this is what we do. Everything I've learned, you know, there's too many good coaches out there. You're not going to fool people into a victory, you know, and you may be able to surprise a play here and there, but it really comes down to fundamentals, and that's what these weeks of preparation we have before the championship game is rooted in fundamentals and how we practice and how we execute the fundamentals of the game, because that'll never change since the game was invented. The team that is the most sound in the fundamentals invariably is going to win the football game.
A lot of preparation, though, for a game like this. I mean, do you change? I mean, I know you're big on just another game, but you got extra time here, so you did put extra preparation, or do you do, I mean, you're preparing for the biggest game of your life, so do you prepare for the biggest game of your life?
No, you use the time wisely, but, you know, we're not going to put in more than we've ever put in for a game plan. You know, and then we always talk about, yeah, that's a good idea. If we're going to put that in, what are we going to take out? You know, because there's only so much you can run in a game. There's only so much you can do during the course of a game. So we do have a little bit more time to watch film and get a better understanding of what they're trying to do, but there won't be any bigger game plans on either side of the ball or in special teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pac-10 people, you know, and SEC people that are turning it into a little bit of a conference thing. You know, and SEC has a certain arrogance. They probably should, given what they've won and everything. You feel like you're going out playing that game for the Pac-10?
Really? No, I don't. We're playing a game for Oregon. We're not, you know, I don't think you can, you know, when people talk about our conference versus their conference, it makes for great debate, and it's, you know, people can have a couple beers in a bar and argue over it, but in the end of the day, Oregon's playing Auburn. You know, we're not playing, it's not the Pac-10 All-Stars versus the SEC All-Stars. It's us versus Auburn, and we're going to find out who's going to win it.
All right, of all the matchups in this game, everything we talk about today, for me, this is the hardest one to pick. I mean, how do you go against a guy like Gene Chizik, who is 6-0 lifetime in bowl games as an assistant coach, including being the defensive coordinator for Texas a few years ago when they beat USC for the national championship? How do you go against a guy like that?
Well, there's no question that both coaches are excellent at what they do, Dwight. But what's interesting to me, if you would have told me that the next coach that Oregon hired after Bellotti would in his first year go to the Rose Bowl and then the next year take his team to the national championship game, I would have said, what the French toast is going on? But when you look at the entire dynamic, it's the coach that can coach the little things that's been around for years, the fundamentals, the technique, but it's also the coach who influences their players to reach their potential and become men. That's what these coaches are. These kids are 18 to 22 years old, and they are father figures, and I think both coaches represent that.
I got to say this, too. I have trouble going against a coach who allows his players to set the curfew. The players set the curfew, right, and it's like 10 o'clock in the hotel, midnight to go to bed. When the other team doesn't have a curfew at all, I have a problem with that. A coach who doesn't give his kids a curfew for a game like this, they have curfews in the NFL. Are you kidding me?
But that's the respect. I think that's the respect that Chizik has for his players. And look, both coaches,
kids, man.
But both coaches said this. Chip Kelly and Chizik say, you know what? We're going to do what's gotten us 12-0 and 13-0 for the prospective teams. Neither of them are going to try to out-scheme one another. It's the players that play. We don't go to watch Coach Kelly coach. We go watch his players play with that tempo, and then same for Chizik and his guys. I like it because he's saying, guys, it's on you. I respect you, and I trust you.
All right. I'm going to give Kelly the edge.
Ooh. It's a tie to me. It's a tie. It goes to the players.
It's a tie. What the French toast? What the French toast, Rashad? That's my new favorite line. I got to use that. Well, I guess I just did. All right, so they are giving it, well, one's a tie, one is to Coach Kelly. I have to agree with the curfew in general. I was so surprised to hear that Gene Chizik did not give his team a curfew. You could say it's a trust thing, but really, I think it's really taking control of your team, even not even giving them the option to do so. Say, in your bed by 10 o'clock, nightlight on, read a book, do whatever, but this isn't about the experience going out and, you know, celebrating before the fact. It's about playing the game. I don't know. That was just my opinion on the coaches in general.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to give the coaching edge to Kelly simply because he is coaching an entire team, okay? It's a more rounded team. It's more of a team that's going to play this game. Chiswick and Auburn, you've got, you know, 2 or 3 outstanding players that really are going to make the difference on this team game in and game out. Oregon is more rounded. Auburn is more specific in its dominant players, okay? So I'm going to give that to Kelly just because it's more of a team.
Yep. All right, so it is time to give our pigskin matchup to number 7. Yep, it is between Coach Kelly and Coach Chiswick. Everyone's got an opinion, and shocking. Sherry's matchups, we give number 7 to Coach Kelly. And I have got to say, as a reporter who talks to coaches at halftime and afterwards, I always have a pit in my stomach when I'm watching a reporter go up to Coach Kelly. I'm always a little nervous, but he has been downright enjoyable this week. He has been cracking me up on the verge of hilarious. How funny has he been this week? He's killing me.
I think it's been great. I think he's relaxed, actually. I think it's been relaxing for him to have this 5-week or whatever it is stretch between games. So usually during the season, he ends a game, he's immediately thinking of the other game. You know, he doesn't have time for questions. He doesn't have time for light banter. I think he's had a little time to kind of absorb it and relax a little bit. You know, what's he going to do at this point in time? Is he really going to get ready for the game now? They've done everything they can do so far. Now it's just let's go and play.
Yep, going and play. And you know what that means? Means it is time to win the day. That is what Coach Kelly has been saying all year long. Can they do it in Glendale? That is tomorrow, right back here on Championship Eve. Are we good?
There's always a couple of drops left.
What are you doing?
Using all of the toothpaste. See?
Hey, baby! I thought we were just fixing the front step.
Nah, I got this thing all day. Just getting my money's worth.
How about we give this a try?
We can take a break.
The simple joy of a bold taste. The new hot and spicy McChicken sandwich. Just $1.29 on the new extra value menu.
The Cadillac clearance sale is going on now at Vic Alfonso Cadillac. Lease a brand new 2011 CTS Sport sedan for just $349 a month with a total drive away of only $1998. Or lease the SRX, the Cadillac of crossovers, for only $399 a month. Also with a total drive away of just $1998. That's 2 great offers, your choice. Plus, both come with a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Take advantage of this limited time offer and hurry into Vic Alfonso Cadillac today.
Like today. The quartet was already together when it was necessary to have my uppers extracted and replaced, and so I was really worried how it was going to affect my sound. The staff was just superb. They put you at ease. I was just dazzled by the fact that it was just a great experience.
We've restored over 20,000 smiles. Call for a free consultation and you can be next.
That guy said, in fact, you sound a little better.
Wow!
You're so good!
But what if you don't feel good? And you don't have a doctor? The Oregon Medical Group referral line makes it easy. One number, over 100 physicians, and 16 neighborhood clinics. We're usually right next door. When you're ready to feel good again and need a neighborhood doctor, call Oregon Medical Group at 541-242-4444.
Comcast Sportsnet is bringing you more Ducks coverage leading up to the national championship game than anywhere else. 88 hours more. We're also bringing you the most exclusive coverage around. Oregon Sports Hall of Famer Dwight James brings you exclusive interviews with head coach Chip Kelly and Nike co-founder Phil Knight. Special features with current players Darren Thomas, Kenyon Barner, and more. 88 hours of the most exclusive Ducks coverage around all week long on Comcast Sportsnet.
This is National Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet, presented by McDonald's.
Hello, everybody. Our friends at Standard Appliance and Television, TV and Appliance. All right, they are the ones that brought us this fun game that Matt Brock loves oh so much. It is, of course, the Top 10 Oregon Bowl performances brought to us by Standard TV and Appliance. Let's get right to it. Let's go over them once more, shall we? Number 10, Herman O'Berry, 92, Independence Bowl. Number 9, Jack Crabtree, 58, Rose Bowl. To number 8, the 1989 Independence Bowl was Bill Musgrave. Achilles Smith, 89 Aloha Bowl. Number 7, friend Joey Harrington, 2000 Holiday Bowl. Number 6, number 5, Sammy Parker, loved him, 2003 Sun Bowl. Number 4, Jeremiah Masoli, Holiday Bowl, 2008. We did this one earlier, Jonathan Stewart, 2007 Sun Bowl. So now it is time to give our buddy Matt a little clue. The first Pac-10 quarterback to lead his team to 3 bowl victories is at number 2. All right, Matt, what do you think?
Oh, I know this one because they said it earlier in the show.
Oh, cheater.
Joey Harrington, of course.
You are correct. Yep, in the 2002 Fiesta Bowl, he became the first Pac-10 quarterback to lead his team to 3 bowl victories. You know who decided this? Our friend Dwight James. Why doesn't he explain this to us? What do you say?
All right, when it comes to bowl performances by a Duck, you know, Joey Harrington, he had terrific bowl performances every time he was in one. When he won that last game, that made the 3rd bowl game he had won as quarterback of the Ducks. No other Pac-10 quarterback had ever done that. And in this game, he was perfect. This was a game the Ducks felt they should have gone to the national championship game. They didn't, but they came out on a mission against Colorado. Joey was virtually perfect. A great, great bowl performance by Joey Harrington.
All right, we get to number 1 tomorrow, so look forward to that. What else to look forward to? Oh, how about just a little game called the National Championship? We are live here at 3 o'clock to get you prepared for it. It is championship game day. Number 2, Oregon and Auburn. Yep. And then, of course, right afterwards, you turn right back here to Comcast Sportsnet for a championship post game. It is immediately following the game. Don't want to miss it. All right, you guys, if you're a big Comcast Sportsnet fan, as I know you are, you remember Wanted, the first season. Everybody loved it. And we've got, number 2 season of Wanted. But this time, it's very specific. It is all about the ladies. Take a sneak peek.
Comcast Sportsnet is looking for an adventure host. I'm here to be an adventure host. All these ladies behind me have one goal, to show you they are the ideal adventure woman.
I have no idea what lies ahead. That's the adventure, right?
Give me everything you got! I'm giving every single thing I have in my body.
This could be your last chance to convince us as judges to keep you.
Good morning, sunrise and shine.
There's just a bunch of chicks all together in a campsite. I mean, you know there's gonna be drama. They're so catty and they're so backstabbing.
I'm ready to win, and if that means going until I pass out, I was willing to do that.
Oh yeah, baby, I like that.
Oh, why do I feel like none of those gals have fake nails like me? Win the day. Can the Ducks do it? We look more into that when we return right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Why would someone switch to a different auto insurance company?
Me, I wanted to save money, and I did with Amica.
Call 877-52-AMICA now and find out why you should make the change. I was actually with another company, but I got into this accident with one of Amica's customers, and they were so nice at Amica that I said, that's it. That's what I want. We hear that a lot.
I switched because I did a bunch of research on who was winning awards for great service and getting the best ratings from consumers, and guess which name kept coming up?
Amica.
Saving money's great, but I got so much more when I called Amica.
Call Amica now and ask about all the different options we have to offer, like accident forgiveness, new car replacement, identity fraud protection, and discounts on getting auto and home insurance together.
More options, more savings. That's why I picked Amica.
And with our driver rewards program, you'll start earning points as soon as you become an Amica customer. Those points can help you save on deductibles and more.
So call Amica.
Is your computer running slowly?
Does it take more than 3 seconds for your email to load? Are you frustrated with error messages, blue screens, computer freezes, and crashes? These are not only annoying, but can cause permanent damage to your computer. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, your computer and your privacy may be at risk, because these are usually the telltale signs of a virus, and it can only get worse until you act. Get a free diagnosis at mycleanpc.com.
My Clean PC is outstanding, and my computer is running faster than ever.
My Clean PC came through with flying colors when no one else could.
My Clean PC totally cleaned up my system and increased my speed.
MyCleanPC.com can remove spyware, viruses, and infected emails, all speeding up your PC's performance. It offers all-in-one protection, and it's been downloaded by millions of users. Even if you have antivirus software, your computer could still be infected. Find out instantly with a free comprehensive diagnosis at mycleanpc.com.
It's been a team effort, and when I say team effort, it hasn't been one individual, it hasn't been me, myself. It's been a collective effort. My coaches, these players keep stepping up and playing.
National Championship Eve on Comcast Sportsnet is presented by McDonald's.
One more day, everybody. Can you feel the excitement? The national championship game tomorrow between Auburn and Oregon. It's electrifying. I can feel it. Can you?
I can. I keep shocking myself.
I know. I keep shocking myself as well. All right, we've gone over all the matchups except for one. Let's do a little recap of our matchups, of course, presented by Sherry's. And Oregon is taking the lead. They're up right now at this moment. I know, shocking. 4-3. So we have our final one, which is intangibles. You know what that means, right? It's a big word, Matt.
Oh, no, yes, I do know what it means. It means the unexpected.
Ooh, thank you. Ooh, smart man.
Unanticipated.
Smart man. Not just a pretty face, that Matt Brock. All right, intangibles coming up.